movies running on DVD and Biz today?
Hello, sinners. Hello, sinners. It is I, Father Evil, and I invite you to Destination Station on YouTube.
Bagels and go to Destination Station. This buddy is the bomb.
Yep.
Love him.
Yep.
Fucking A.
Yep.
I had to say that for a reason.
Freddie, take that, motherfucker.
All right. Okay. Fuck you. Yeah.
Jamie Kennedy. Subscribe to my man, Destination Station right now if you want the best content.
Oh yeah, what's up? Welcome to Scream Talk. It is our weekly Friday night ritual. We are here for Scream Talk. There has been some news going on about Scream Talk lately, and we're going to talk about it tonight. It's going to be a really, really fun time. Bring your theories, bring your ideas, because I got some of my own. And I have a guest with me tonight. He's going to bring some of his on as well, because we're talking about Scream 8. We can talk about Scream 7 and what we think about how this movie's going to end and where we're going to end up in Scream 8. Because it just got greenlit. If you haven't noticed by the thumbnail, if you haven't noticed about all the news this week, something that we've already kind of speculated. I did. I was kind of thinking, I was like, okay, there's got to be something different here. But we're going to get into all that. And I want to hear you in the chat. Let us know what you think. How do you think Scream 7's going to play out? Do you think Stu Macher is coming back? And how do you think Scream 8 will play out? Looking forward to it. Now, I have to say this, it's not necessary, but super chats do go to the front of the line, and sometimes the chats just get crazy and I can't keep up. And I don't want you to think that, I'm passing over you or I'm not getting to you for an hour or something like that, because I try to give everybody their shine. I kind of go in order, but if you do want your stuff listed or me address it, me and my guest tonight address the question, super chats are greatly appreciated. It helps keeps the lights on here at Destination Station and helps me put out more quality content. So I love your faces, and let me bring on my guest for tonight. He's no one new to this channel. He's my brother from another mother. He's a big Scream fan himself, and you know him as I shot him 6 times, but I know him as Marcus. What's up, Marcus? How you doing?
What's up, brother? Fantastic news in the Scream universe once again hitting this week. So many thoughts, so many theories. I'm interested to get into it. I'm happy to be here with you. I'm happy to be here with everybody in the chat, and I'm ready for us to get down to the get down.
Yeah, man. How did you feel whenever you heard that this was greenlit, Scream 8? Or did it just like, did you feel like I knew that was coming, or were you just like completely caught off guard and surprised?
I felt like it wasn't a surprise that it's happening. I feel like the timing of it all was a surprise, and we're definitely going to get into that. The timing of it all is definitely a surprise, and I feel like, it's just my opinion, I have an idea of why this is done, and we're going to definitely dig into it as we get into the stream.
Yeah. We definitely are. I do want to get through some comments and kind of say hey to everybody. Gonna do like a just a overall hey to everybody. I see you, Paula. Good to see you, Dom. Talking Star Wars. King Matthew the Third. Always like that name. DJ plays favorite. Go DJ. Rolls in the house. Roll. Let's see here. Yeah, if you are just popping in and popping out, or I get it. Just please smash that like button so the algorithm can pick this up whenever it goes into replay mode. I need all the help I can get, trying to get these Scream Talks out there to the wild, out there to the people. Give the people what they want.
Right. Right. And, real quick, bro. Your mic was cutting out a little bit there for a second. I just wanted you to be aware of that.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of a hiccup too whenever I was going live. Like went dark on me and then it popped back on. So yeah, keep me up to date because it looks okay on my end. But yeah, do I sound all right now?
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay. Let me see here. I don't know. We do have a storm coming in, so I don't know if that has something to do with it.
It probably is. It was raining like crazy here yesterday.
Yeah. It's been some wild weather here in Texas for sure. Let's see here. I saw something. Dom says, "Can I hop on with you and Marcus and talk some Scream 8?" Yeah. What do you think about that, Marcus? Should we let old Dominic on and keep the conversation going?
As Roman Bridger would say, the more the merrier.
There you go. All right, yeah, I'm going to send you an invite, Dom, so be looking out in your Instagram. And we will see you in a second, my friend.
Dom's not the only one who wants to be a part of Scream Talk, obviously.
Oh, that's all right. Bring the pup in. I don't think Ghostface ever killed an animal or a dog or anything like that, right?
Nah, not that I can recall.
Yeah, see, he's got class. Ghostface got a little bit of class.
Yeah, he's not Michael. Michael just don't give a damn.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Let me see. Let me go to this first one. King Matthew III says, "My theory for Scream 8 is it's a prequel to Scream 5. Ooh, interesting. And we get Dewey back to fight Ghostface with Sydney and Gale, or it's similar to New Nightmare where Nev, David, and Courtney deal with a fan killer." I'm gonna let you elaborate on that and kind of give your thoughts on what Matthew's saying there while I get Dominic up in here.
All right, I'm gonna just reread to it real quick. Okay. I feel like the problem with that idea is that from what the rumors, have been coming out in regards to Scream 7, is that they're going to be doing a time jump after the events of Scream 6. So I don't think they're going to be going with a prequel before Scream 5's events. And I mean, I'm not saying it's not impossible because they could just completely treat Scream 5 and 6 as like their own entities and decide to kind of reintroduce the Meeks Martin twins, like I guess in the now, and then just kind of like, I guess somehow ignore the fact that they were in their last two films. I think that's my biggest issue with it. I don't think that's what they're going to do. I feel like what's going to happen is that everything is going to be updated to present day. I don't know how long the time jump is going to be. I heard rumors like 5 years, 6 years, whatever. But you would have to think if Sydney's daughter is going to be, 16 in this movie?
Yeah.
So in Scream 5 or whatever, she probably would have been around, 9, 10 years old. So, I mean, and then Scream 6. So, I would think this is going to take place probably 5 years after Scream 6, because if in Scream 5, she was most likely, let's say, 10 years old or whatever and stuff, Scream 6's events took place exactly a year after Scream 5's event. So she would have been around 11. So if she's going to be 16, add that up, that's 5 years after Scream 6's events, meaning that Scream 7 is going to be taking place in 2028 as opposed to 2026. So I don't know, man. I get it. Listen, I get it. We all want Dewey back. He should have never been killed in Scream 5. But I will say, do not hold out hope, because David Arquette's comments in regards to Scream 7 and how he's coming back was very, very interesting. Him saying, it's a long story. Like, I feel like if Dewey was dead, how is it a long story? That, you know what I mean? Like, so is there a possibility that maybe Dewey's alive but was in a coma or something like that? I don't know. David's, interview with that podcast or with that show was very, very, very interesting. So, I get it. We want Dewey back, but I don't think this will be a prequel between, that happened before Scream 5. I don't think they're going to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that I'm kind of with you on that too. Like, I don't know about like a prequel to Scream 5. I don't see, and it never be acknowledged or anything like that. Like,
Right.
I could see a prequel to Scream 1, or like something that's not tied to Sydney or Dewey or Gail, like a one-off, like with Kirby or something like that, like its own thing being alongside. If anything, if they did do something like that, they need to do a direct sequel to 4 and call it Scream 5 and put it not Roman numerals, just put 5 because it was Scream, and then they used the Roman numerals for Scream 6. But they could like kind of do like a prequel type thing, like and kind of play with that, and that like 5 and 6 didn't even exist, and that could bring back Dewey. I can see that, and they could, like talking about how is Chad and Mindy back? Scream and Scream 6 were fan films, or they were wannabes or something, or it was Stab. They were Stab movies. They were a movie within a movie. They could play that in there, and maybe David Dewey was a consultant on the film, and same with Gail and they were like, I can't believe we got Gail and Sydney to play in the movie. They could. They've done the movie within the movie kind of thing, played with it a little bit in Scream 3. I don't think it's too far of I don't think it's too far of a fetch for that, something like that to happen. Now, is that what's going to happen? No, I don't think that's the direction that they're going. But Dewey's interview was very interesting. It was very interesting. Like he kind of like it's a long story. Like I mean, he could be just saying something like he didn't know what to say, so he just said, "Oh, it's a long story. I can't say anything." But I mean, Scott Foley, he mentioned something too. I don't know if I want a prequel to Scream 5. I don't think that would work. I really don't. If anything happens, I think that the new Nightmare idea with the fan killer, I think that's more. I think that could happen before a prequel to 5. And I think I would like that. I just don't want it right now. I want them to finish out whatever they're doing with like the Stu Macher thing and the Sidney Prescott story.
Right.
And I want them to let's have a definitive ending to what we're doing now, and then we can do new Nightmare style and do like new Scream. Kevin Williamson's new Scream, just like Wes Craven's new Nightmare.
Yeah.
And also do a dedication to Wes.
Right, and then we'll be getting Nev Campbell possibly as Nev Campbell instead of Sidney Prescott.
Exactly. I mean, New Nightmare was like a one-off. They could do the same thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, we do have somebody here. He's not new to the channel. He's been on this channel quite some time, but he does have some. Well, he just dropped. Maybe he'll be back. He got shy. I was just about to bring him on, and he dropped. Maybe he got tired of waiting. But come on back in, Dom, if you want to. Anyways,
he just dropped.
I mean, literally, like I had my cursor over him about bringing him in, and there he goes. That's a now you see me, now you don't.
Yeah, right.
King Matthew III says, also, my top theory of Scream 7 is the twins will die and Stu is Ghostface because maybe he's more angrier and more vengeful and out to finish what he started killing Dewey in 5, so Gail's next in 7. Interesting. All right, he's back. We're going to bring him in instead of making him wait. Don't leave us, but we got Dom in the house. What's up, buddy?
What is up? Hello, everyone. Hello, Marcus. Hello, Destin.
What's up, buddy?
How you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing great. I'm doing fine. I'm on the high of the Scream 8. We are here, baby. We are here. We got this going.
Hell yeah. Yeah, man. Scream. How did you feel before we get into Matthew's question here? How how did you feel whenever you got the news that Screen 8 was greenlit?
Oh, I was like, yo, if we're getting Scream 8 coming out after Scream 7, because it's greenlit and stuff. Hey man, I'm all for it, man, because they know they have a direction they want to go with. Because they have their greenlit going, and I want to see them finalize the story of Stu and Sydney, and hopefully we get that with Scream 8 or a potential Scream 9, but I would say Scream 8, just to be safe. But I am excited for it because we're getting more Scream stuff. And Scream, out of my top 3 franchises, the first one is Friday the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
The second is Final Destination, and the third one is Scream.
You gotta change that around, man. You gotta change that around.
I know, Destin, but you gotta trust me on this, okay?
That is a unique lineup though, because you don't ever really hear that, and that type of lineup. Usually it's always Halloween, Scream, Jason, or Freddy and stuff like that. So at least you got some, variety and diversity in that.
Yeah, and it's a great. I think it's a great top 3 for me, and I do enjoy Scream and for what it's brought to the horror genre ever since it came out in '96, and I'm just waiting for the cameo of Freddy Krueger coming into Scream, like New Nightmare style. Because if you think about it, Wes Craven's New Nightmare takes place in the real world, right? And we're dealing with the real actresses and the real actors of Nightmare on Elm Street, and we're dealing with real people. And Freddy enters the real world, so I think there's a big possibility and chance that we might see a crossover between Freddy and Ghostface because of that Wes Craven's New Nightmare movie.
Yeah, it's interesting. I could see them doing like an homage to it or something, like somebody dressed up like Freddy or like Robert Englund, like, walking into him or something, and it'd be kind of like a gag. It'd be like using it more like a gag for a moment or something, But yeah, I mean, it's a big possibility, man. I mean, I'm all about, I'm a Fred head. I like me some Freddy. So that's one franchise that they need to get off their ass and do something with. So
real quick, Destin, I mean, just thinking about what he said about the whole Freddy crossover, if they wanted to do like you said, a gag or an homage, they could take that Ghostface picture you got back there with Freddy's claws and use it as like the end credit, when they go for the end credit and you see Ghostface at the end, they could do something like that. Yeah,
they could. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was always kind of cool. Like I remember, and we're gonna get back to Scream 8, I promise everybody. And I'm gonna get back to the chat. But you saying that, and my idea of having Ghostface with the Freddy glove, I think it would be kind of cool to see Ghostface killing people with other slashers' weapons, like a machete, like Michael Myers' knife, like Freddy's glove, stuff like that. Like I think, or like a chainsaw or something, like I think it would be kind of cool, and because I always remember the cover art. I always remember like walking through Blockbuster when I was younger, through the horror section, obviously, and seeing that cover of Sleepaway Camp 2 with Angela on the front and the backpack, and it's got Jason's mask, it's got the Freddy glove hanging out and everything like that. That's the reason why Sleepaway Camp 2 was the only Sleepaway Camp movie I ever watched. I never saw the first one until I watched it on Craven's channel and I had that reaction. I only saw 2 because of that cover. I was like, okay, that's cool. Those are my guys. Let me go check this movie out. So yeah, like I think it'd be kind of cool for something like that, seeing Ghostface kill somebody with a Freddy glove. I think that's pretty interesting.
Hell
like
yeah!
Maybe there's like a like in Scream 3 with the prop room with Sarah Darling and all the fake stuff. Like maybe there's a prop room with like all like like, be careful. These are actually blades. These and Ghostface kind of utilizes that to his advantage. You know, he can use a shotgun. He can use a fucking Freddy glove.
Right. And it would be a nice homage to the original Scream when Ghostface is on the phone with Casey, and she brings up Nightmare on Elm Street, and he's like, "Was that the killer with the guy who has knives, for fingers?" And she's like, "Yeah, Freddy Krueger." And he's like, "Freddy, that's right. I like Freddy. He was scary." Like,
yeah.
I mean, that'd be a nice little homage to that.
Yeah, I think so too, man. I really do. Back to Matthew's question. Also, my top theory of Scream 7 is the twins will die if Stu is Ghostface, because maybe he's more angrier and more vengeful and out to finish what he started, killing Dewey in 5. So Gail's next in 7. Is the twins will die if Stu is Ghostface, because maybe he's... So you're saying the twins will die first, and then Dewey and Gail? Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I think we're gonna say goodbye to one of the twins, at least. I mean, it'd be pretty sad if they both die. I think it would be poetic. I think it would be traumatic if they both died stranger style, Like, I always thought that, like, what if they're the opening kill? Which I don't think they are, because apparently Mason Gooding said that he had the chance to share scenes and work with Neve Campbell, and so if he's done that, then I think that he's like later on in the movie. I don't know how significant their roles are going to be, but it would be crazy if they both get killed together, and I think it'd be sad. I honestly, I would consider that like a legacy kill, because they've been in the last couple ones and we've built a little bit of a relationship with. And if they're going back to the original, how much are they needed now with going back to Sydney's story? So, yeah. What do you think about that, Dom?
I think, yeah, just with the Ghostface being more angrier and vengeful. I think it's a great idea. I think in terms of like that concept of getting an aggressive Ghostface is actually really cool to me, because we kind of got that with Charlie, and Charlie was, as much as
I refuse. Not on my channel.
As much as we like to make fun of him, he was a
shoulder me. Oh my god!
I can't even defend him right now. I can't even stop laughing.
Look, all right, look. Out of all the killers, and you're gonna say someone named Charlie was... That's like when Eminem was battling dude on an 8 Mile, and he says, "Clarence has some real nice parents." That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, man. Oh, man.
Charlie's not gangsta. He ain't. And I really just didn't like how it was written, like how he was holding Sydney like that. Sydney would have whooped his ass. Come on. Sydney would have done more than shoulder him.
One thing, though, I will say, I mean, I would hope we'd agree on about Charlie, though, is that the character was kind of ahead of his time, because remember, Jill said he was the idea guy. So he kind of had this idea to be the one to post those murders on the net and the whole social media aspect. So even though some don't like how he was portrayed in the movie, when you really think about what his actions were and what he did, he's kind of a fucking sneaky genius, bro. He is. Like, he's a sneaky genius. You just don't like the way he's portrayed.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really mind him. I don't know. He just didn't hit for you, bro. That's just what it was.
And
I think in the back of my mind, I was like, a McCulkin is going to be a killer, because I kept thinking of The Good Son. I was like, are they gonna make his brother a killer here? And I was like, surely they won't do that. But then I was thinking, damn, I'm old. A lot of people probably don't remember that movie. And sure enough, they did. They did. But what do you think about it, Marcus? With the twins dying and Stu just being more aggressive. But like, do you think that they should like go out poetically, or do you think they should die at all? Like, how do you think that should play out if it does?
Well, initially, I thought that both could die in this film, or at least one of them, like you said. But now I'm kind of struggling with that because of the announcement with Scream 8. And what I mentioned earlier in my video is that I think obviously they have a story they want to tell, and that most likely we're going to get a cliffhanger, and that in Scream 8, we're going to be going back to Woodsboro. And because these are legacy characters, because their uncle is Randy, I kind of can see them holding off on killing them until we get to the 8th one. You know, especially because, I mean, I say it like this. I personally think that Gail has a greater chance of being killed in Scream 7 than the twins. You know, but then again, because of, you know, obviously we already got Scream 8 announced, it's a possibility she could make it to 8 too. So I think it all boils down to how many legacy characters are you going to want to have in Scream 8? You know, we don't know. I mean, I doubt there's been no announcement. Maybe they could do something towards the end to reference her or something, but we don't know if we're getting Kirby at all in this film. So could we get her in the next film? You know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting.
Because you don't want it to be overcrowded either, because we got a lot of new characters. Now we got a lot of returning characters, and we don't know how that's going to be structured. And then if you bring in Kirby too, like you only got so much screen time. Who's going? If they do bring in Kirby, man, I would like. I mean, honestly, I would like to have like a small scene with her in this one, like Nev or Sydney and Gail go to her for some sort of information. Maybe she has information on Stu Macher because she's the FBI. Or a phone call, but she plays a more significant role in 8. You know, maybe her role is so insignificant in 7 that they're like, we're not going to announce it like she's back because they're going to feel cheated because she's only in like one scene, or maybe shows up at the end to make an arrest or something, you know, whatever. So yeah, I can see Gail. I like your point though. I kind of like, and I don't want to get like, it's kind of weird saying, am I getting my hopes up that Gail's going to die? But because in 6, like, you know, it's like after Dewey, it's like we want it to happen. Now it's like, come on, like we're ready to say goodbye to her. And but in 7, like I could probably see her die too before the twins, because I feel like the twins is the only connection that the new audience has, and they're kind of like holding on to that because because you don't have Melissa or Jenna coming back. And if you have these, you're going to be like, oh, okay, at least we have them from the last ones. And we like these characters. But if you kill them off, you might lose that new target, the new audience, the new younger audience that has recently became Scream fans. So yeah, goodbye, Gil. That's what I'm gonna make a shirt. Goodbye, Gil. But yeah. Talking Star Wars says, my theory for Scream 8 is 7 ends with some kind of cliffhanger like Stu is alive. Seems like he's helping Sid, but he's still involved with the current killings at the end. We hear, I've always had a thing for you, Sid, or hello, Sydney. Ending credits leading into 8. Now, we've speculated this several times, all the way back to Scream 5. Similar. I have some thoughts here. Marcus, what's your thoughts on this? Do you think we're going to get something similar like this? A cliffhanger with Stu?
I think we could. I'll say this. I think it could happen, but it will most likely still be like AI or something. so that in Scream 8, we are still leaning into that mystery. Is he really alive or is he not? Like, you know what I mean? And I think that's what they're doing with both of these films. I think that in Scream 7, now that we got the announcement of 8, I think in Scream 7, the killers who are going to be revealed will not be Stu. They're going to save Stu's reveal for Scream 8. And whoever these new killers are will be a part of the cult that Stu is running, and he's influencing them. Maybe his sister Leslie Mocker is helping him, something of that nature and stuff. But I feel like you always used to say, Destin, all roads lead back to Woodsboro. I think that that's what's going to happen. Scream 7 is the setup. There's going to be a cliffhanger style ending to where we're going into the next film still wondering, is Stu dead? Is he alive? And they're really going to play into this narrative, and that this Stu Mocker storyline with Sidney Prescott is going to end where it started.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, we have talked about this. And before I go, Dom, I want to get your point. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with Marcus 100%, man. I think that we're going to get a cliffhanger at the end of Scream 7 with some sort of lead in to Scream 8, thinking like, okay, is Stu alive? Is he dead? Is he a ghost? Like, what the hell is he? What's going on here? So
that's what he should say. It looks like you've seen a ghost.
Looks like he's
kind of like what, like Billy
mm-hmm.
says.
Yep,
that's what Stu should say to her. And he has. Think about it. He's the ultimate ghost because he's been here the whole time. She just didn't know it. He's just been out there.
Yeah. So, yeah, I agree. And also, too, like, I think that when we see Scream 7, we're definitely, like Marcus said, we're getting, like, 2 new killers, but they're going to be part of Stu's cult of Ghostfaces. And it's going to be like, we're thinking he's going to be revealed at the end of 7, you know, because you think he's one of the Ghostfaces, but it turns out, no, it's not him. It's some people. And the last thing that we see is the phone call. And we talked about this. We got a theories going. We're thinking maybe at the end of Scream 7, we're going to get that phone call at the end. And we're going to get that, "You missed me, Sid," something like that. Maybe like his other line, "I have a thing for you, Sid," you know, stuff like that. Maybe, you know, surprise Sydney.
Surprise Sydney,
you know, something like that.
But it'd be in a Ghostface voice, not
in a
Stu's
Ghostface voice, yeah. But it's not revealed to be Stu's voice.
It's just for us audiences to be like, is it or is it not? And it's just going to end. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, it's just the Ghostface voice, and we just don't know who it is. We think it's Stu, but it's probably not Stu. Maybe it is Stu. So it gets people going. You know, it gets people hyped for the next one, and it gets people wanting to see the Scream 8. So if they do that, that's smart. That's smart marketing right there. That is smart marketing, because what it does is it gets people more attracted to the Scream franchise and the next Scream movie after that, and wanting to see it. Go ahead, Marcus.
E.T. phone home. Bearded.
Or playing into the whole AI thing, they could have Stu's FaceTime. It's his voice, but we still don't know if he's really alive or dead because they're playing into the AI narrative.
Exactly.
So for all we know, this could be a deep fake video. So it still has that hook as to whether he's alive or dead. And that's what's going to get audiences back in the seats in Scream 8. So either one of those scenarios could happen. But I think because of all the AI rumors, if they are going to do something with Stu at the end of Scream 7, that is going to be a cliffhanger, a phone call, something like that. I think they are going to go in the AI route.
Yeah. I think that they are definitely. I think they're going to toy with Stu with the AI thing, and then you're going to realize that, you know, with them using AI with all the past killers, and even maybe just some deceased people. Maybe they do it with Dewey. Maybe they do it with other people. I think that they could be doing it with all the Ghostface. We just don't know it yet. And we get revealed that, oh, it's all AI, it's all fake. So Stu's gotta be fake, or we assume that, or at least a lot of us that are theorizing this, we're gonna be like, is it not? We're always gonna have that suspicion. But other, like, regular moviegoers, they're gonna be like, oh, okay, that's what it was, and then it surprises us at the end with a phone call or something. I even thought about, think about something like this, like near the end, like okay, so Sydney's supposed to own like a coffee shop, and her oldest daughter's supposed to work there. What's it called, like Little Latte or something like that, or it's called something that. Wouldn't it be crazy if, like, the aftermath, the aftermath, everything's over with, and we see everyone's happy again. The coffee shop's up and going. They got customers. The daughter's working the counter, and she's like getting an order for somebody, and you hear her talking to somebody, but we don't see who it is yet. And we hear his voice, and we're like, oh, and when the camera pans, it's him, like, getting the coffee, and he's just like, good to see you. Oh, I knew your mom. And he kind of walks out. He walks out the coffee shop.
Oh.
And then it ends on something like that. Like, that would be interesting. That would be really interesting. But the point that you made here earlier, Marcus, about the legacy of Woodsboro, you know, like we want to see the Stu showdown. We want to see that climax of him really back in Woodsboro, really the Stu Mocker house. We wanted that in 5. So
right.
This is set in Indiana. So we don't want to see Stu really. I mean, he could be announced or revealed in this one, but we don't want the showdown or the climax of him to be in Indiana. At least I don't. I feel like it's like almost like Michael Myers is like Haddonfield to Michael Myers. This needs to be in Woodsboro. This feels right there. And maybe he was there all along. But if you're if we're in Indiana in Scream 7, and Scream 8 is greenlit, it is greenlit, and this is ending on a cliffhanger. Now, stay with me, people. Everybody in the chat. I'm going to get back to the chat, I promise. And please hit that like button. I really appreciate that. It helps it out. Now, if how do we get Sydney and the crew back to Woodsboro? And Marcus, we've talked about this off screen a couple of times. I think if they're going to end on a cliffhanger, yeah, they could do the phone call thing. That seems easy. That seems enough to really get people interested and speculating and theorizing and ready for the 8th one. But what if Scream 7 ends after 2 or 3 killers are revealed, the whole climax happens, and then the aftermath is Chad or Mindy, or they both live, and they're on the phone with Martha Meeks, and she's just checking on him, and you know, like Mason Gooden, or you know, Chad's just like, I'm okay, Mom. Yeah, everything's all right. Yeah, I'm coming home. I'm gonna come see you. And she's just like, all right. And then she gets off the phone with her kids, and then her phone rings again, and this is the very end of the movie of 7, and it's Ghostface. And now that we're in Woodsboro, and the movie ends on killing Martha Meeks, like we get an ending kill. That's the climax, because now everybody's got to come back to Woodsboro for a funeral. That gets the Meeks twins back. That gets everyone coming back, and that gives the opportunity to have a big showdown between Sid and Stu in the Stu Mocker house in the town of Woodsboro. That's just how I would do it. I think like, you know how like like the opening kill, we always get an opening kill, and Ghostface always does that final blow, and then the title card comes on. I think that needs to be the ending shot of the movie. Like Ghostface says something, one of his things, and or you think it was over, and just come down with the knife, and the movie credits roll, and that's it. And then like something like to be continued, Scream 8, or Scream 8 in development, whatever, Scream 8 in the works. I want to hear y'all think about that for a second. What do you think about that, Dom? and everybody in the chat.
I think, man, that could be good too. Whatever the things that we talked about, the other two optional endings they can use. But this one's cool because this one it really shows like that there's another Ghostface and it's not over, and there's more to come. So I think that, and killing off Martha Meeks right there really sets like everyone in shock, because they're like, wait, what? Like that's the end? Wait, what happened? she got killed.
We've never had an ending kill. We've never had it. We've never. It's always wrapped up in a nice little bow and just like has a feel good ending usually. Like, all right, this is it. Everything's a conclusion and everything. But if they've already planning on a bigger climax with 8, I would be happy either way. I'd be happy with the phone call, and it just surprised Sydney, and she gets a phone call, and then her eyes get wide, and then we get the credits. I think I'm okay with that. But I think it would be really cool to like end, like even if it's let's just say Martha Meeks. It isn't Martha Meeks, and we're not going to Woodsboro. I feel like, what if you think that like everyone survived, the ghost faces are dead, and then Gail's the ending kill? That would be wild. You would kill you'd kill Gail at the very end. Like, you let her live throughout the entire movie. She outsmarts Ghostface and wins, and then she dies. Like, she has like a touching moment. Like maybe it's her at her computer finishing the last touches of the book of Dewey, the sheriff of Woodsboro, and she finally right that wrong that she said she was always going to do. So I think if you do kill Gail, we need to like her again before you do it, because we didn't really like her too much in 6. She kind of turned back to her old Gail ways. But if you make her likable, and she kind of like has some sort of like redemption arc a little bit, but then rip it away from us again. Like, I feel like for her character being that legacy character, she needs to go out likable, not dislikable, like, because we're going to be like, oh, she deserved it. We don't want to hate the character. We want to like her. We know that there's some good in her. We just want her to be morally right. And I think that that's what they need to do. They need to make us like her again before they kill her. And it could be the ending. So, I don't know. I know I said a lot. I put a lot in there. It's a lot of process. I was on a roll for a minute. Let me get to the chat real quick. I'm trying to skip over some. Let's see here. We got Paula in the house. We got Dom in the house. What's up? Thank you, Talking Star Wars. Stab the like button, everyone. Appreciate that. Yes, please smash it. Stab it. Stomp on it like it's a bug crawling across your floor. Thank you, Paula. Really appreciate that. We love you. A troll. Good to see you. Talking Star Wars says again, I think Stu is 100% alive. If you remember in Scream 5 at the Meeks Martin twins' house, someone asked who Stu is, and Dewey said Stu is now, if Stu was dead, would you think Dewey would have said Stu was? Yeah, I know what you're saying. That kind of confused me the way I was reading it. Maybe I read it wrong. But yeah, he talked about whenever they were at Martha Meeks' house. Dewey did speak about him, that he was like, he is some Looney Tune or whatever he said. But he talked about like he didn't say he was. He said he's some blah 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 blah. Like he knew that he was still alive, like he's still around. Do y'all recall that scene? What do you think about that, Marcus?
Yeah, the line was, he's a real Looney Tune. He's a real Looney Tune. So
he is
So he's speaking about him in the present tense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've talked about this for years now. I 100% believe that Stu is alive. I just think that now, especially with what we're getting in Scream 8, they are constructing it in a way that's not only going to make sense, but that we actually have some layer to the story. And one thing I want to, note of that Matthew has said at conventions and in that podcast that he did the other day, where he's basically said that Stu is kind of sort of alive, something like that, or whatever. He doesn't want to do a movie unless the story makes sense and it hooks him.
Yeah.
So as much as he's been wanting to come back to Scream for years, I think whatever they are planning to do with his character and the story arc had a big deal with him deciding, yes, I'm coming back. You know what I mean? So, listen, we've seen people, we talked about it many times. We've seen people take far more worse punishment and get up, you know what I mean, and still be functional and stuff. And Stu never had his one last scare.
Yeah.
So I definitely believe he is 100% alive. I think that they are going to stretch this out between 2 movies. I did hear something out there that Matthew kind of hinted at this, I think right around the time that he was announced to be in Scream 7, that he kind of hinted at being in 2 Scream films. I gotta, check out there and see if I'm correct about that, but I heard something along those lines. So, I mean, look, it's obvious they have a clear direction for what they want to do. We're going to be getting 2 films out of this, and basically this is the Stu Macher redemption arc. You know what I mean? And we're going to get 2 films. We're going to be in this deep mystery as to whether he is alive or dead. Us who believe that he is alive, we've provided enough evidence. We just need Kevin Williamson and Guy Busick to layer out that evidence in a feasible way so that those who don't believe that Stu is alive will accept it and receive it well.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's got to feel sharp. It's got to feel not half-baked. It can't feel kind of forced, like a lot of the Richie's Family stuff, that kind of did not... There's a lot of, loose ends there. It just didn't make a lot of sense when you really think about it. And you want it to make sense, especially bringing back Stu. You don't want to just do it, okay, fan service. Yeah, I want fan service, but you got to make me believe why we haven't seen him. You got to give him something. And you can't just give us just a little bit. Just plug him in. Here you go. He gets killed. He's only in the movie for 10 minutes and he gets killed. And no, we're going to feel cheated for sure. We're definitely going to feel cheated. What do you think about this, Dom? You remember this line in Scream 5 and how he talked about him in the present tense? Do you agree with that, or do you think that was even a clue, or you just think that was just kind of like nothing?
I think it was just adding more to the evidence that he's alive. I think when he talks about him in present tense, it's a hint to the audience. Like a little nudge to the cheek, like saying, "Hey, there's a possibility that he's still out there, and he's hiding, or he's in a mental institution or something." And I think Dewey knew that. I think he knew that, and he's doing that he's hiding it to protect Sydney, because I feel like he knows that Sydney's gonna freak out and try to go and kill him. Or something like that. Like she's gonna. Well,
she won't be able to live it. I think Dewey's like the big brother. He cares about Sydney. He wants her to live in peace, and she will not live in peace if she knew that type of knowledge. So I think I think that's one thing that was beating him down. He had a lot of burden on him. He had a lot of stuff trying to protect everybody else, and he was selfless. And he was the heart of the franchise, and I hope they right his wrongs too, not just Stu's. Go ahead. No more one? We got 2.
No, we're putting the 2s up this time. Another thing is too, and I think that a lot of people, should take this into perspective in regards to, if Stu is alive, how come, and Dewey knew, and maybe Gail even knew, how come they never mentioned it to Sydney? And you make a great point, especially with Dewey, wanting Sydney to be at peace, but also keep in mind that Dewey had a job, as a cop. It's very possible that he was basically told, whatever information that there is on Stu Macher being alive, you are legally bound to not say anything or you will lose your job. Point an example.
Yeah.
Scream 3, the same thing with Gail. When Kincaid approached her with Marine's pictures, he threatened her. If you share this with the world, it will be you I am arresting. So that right there in itself shows that authority, if they want to step in and basically hush you up, you will be hushed up and you won't be allowed to say anything. So I think that plays into the narrative of explaining why nothing was said in regards to Dewey possibly knowing or even Gail possibly knowing, because in my opinion, I think Gail would know too. We know Gail is a shark. She is going to find whatever she is looking for. You've seen it in Scream 6. She's not an FBI agent. She's a journalist, and she somehow found the shrine before Kirby did. I mean, Gail is a shark. You know what I mean? So I personally think that Gail and Dewey knew about this, but legally they were bound to not say anything. And you can easily understand the Woodsboro authorities going to Gail like, you better not say anything because we know your track record. You've had our little town in, your books, your interviews, everything. Like, you've been basically putting us on the map, but in a negative way. Right. So if you reveal this information, cuff them up. Yeah. So I mean, it's interesting, man. I'm interested to see how they're going to explain that Stu is alive, because again, he's alive. All the clues are there.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I started thinking about this, with the question about Dewey and stuff. He even mentioned, like, what if that ties into like why he was let go from the police department? Like they asked him to be let go. And maybe he found out that Stu was alive, or maybe he was, investigating something that he shouldn't have been investigating, and they said, "Hey, we told you not to mess with this." So maybe that's more of a reason why they let him go, was that he was kind of stepping over the line, and he's at that age, and they were just like, "All right, you got to quit, or we're gonna fire you." So. Hell, I would have let them fire me, though. If a company ever says, "Hey, quit or we're going to fire you," let them fire you and then sue them. You heard it right here on Destination Station. Don't worry about a reference and all that kind of stuff. Find somebody at that job that will give you a good reference, but you let that company fire you. Anyways. Poor Dewey. What I am 2-0 Scream should be the fun. What? In my what? What's TO?
In my hold on.
I think it's supposed to be in my opinion.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know what the T stands for, but I do know what the rest stands for.
Scream should be the final movie of the franchise. Scream? You think this next Scream 7 should, or Scream 8? Hey, keep them coming. I never get bored with Scream. I just want to make sense. I don't want to get like half-baked Scream movies, like Scream 4. But
right.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Hey.
I'm kidding. I said that I was just poking the. I was poking the bear.
Into that one, I ain't even gonna lie. I wasn't expecting that.
I'm gonna clip it now. He said it. Scream 4. I'm kidding, dude. I was messing. Scream be the final movie of the franchise. Scream, yeah. Which one? Let's see here. King says, also, Gail's old camera from the party in 1 had footage of the attack, and Stu and Billy's reveal. What if her camera also caught Stu alive? I like that idea. I'll go first on this one, but I like the idea. I don't want them to play on it too much, but I think that once Stu is revealed, you know, I would like to see like it cut back to that. Like maybe we don't see him like flip the TV off of him and sneak out the back door or whatever. Maybe we just get it from like the camera's like on its side, and it kind of cuts to that, and we see just like the Stumacher living room destroyed like it was, and then we see like him start moving, and he flips off the TV, and then that's it. Like, I just want it real quick. You don't have to show a whole lot. So, what do you think about that? You think that they should, you know, bring in that camera that was at the party in Scream 1 to kind of like show more of his like survival?
Well, I remember when you was on Craven's stream a couple weeks ago, and Eric, you guys were talking about this. Somebody had brought this up in the chat, and Eric had said that the camera that was in the house was only a transmitter to basically be a feed to the van, and that all the footage would be in the van. And when Gail would basically drive the van off the premises, obviously the van would be too far to catch that feed from the house. However, when I was thinking about what he said and putting it into perspective, if obviously back in those days they had VCR, so everything was recorded. So what if there's footage from inside the van from when stuff was being previously recorded before Gail drove the van out of reach? Yeah, them tapes would have to still be there. Now the question would be, did they get damaged enough when she crashed the van? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
What I mean?
So, you can make it work.
Right. And I will note this as well. And I talked about this in my theory video that I did a couple months ago in regards to explaining how Stu Macher could have survived in Scream 1996. Mm-hmm. If you look closely in the van, when Kenny is when all Stu's friends are leaving the house, they're going to go get Hembry down from the goalpost or whatever. Mm-hmm. And Kenny, like, you know, he was kind of snoozing, but he hears them and he like goes to slide the door shut. If you look at the monitor, Brandy jumps up off the couch and kind of looks back into the way, you know, the hallway, as if he heard something. You know what I mean? And I found that to be very, very fascinating. So if they wanted to bring up footage from the van, if those tapes are still out there, there definitely could be stuff that we didn't see play out that happened from inside the house. They could definitely do that. You know what I mean? The footage is still there. It just depends on how much damage did it take in that crash. I don't think it took much damage.
Yeah. VHS tapes could take a beating.
Yeah. Yeah, all you got to do is basically rewire the film back in.
Yeah. And it's a movie. They'll figure it out. King says, unless Ghostface killed Sydney's dog she had in 3. No, I do want to see that dog back though. Like, I want to see that dog. Like, I would have liked to see that dog like attack a Ghostface. Like Ghostface is trying to attack Sydney. She's running from him, and then the dog intervenes and bites him. And then maybe later on we see whoever's revealed has a bite mark of the dog or something, you know?
Yeah.
That could be a good thing, yeah.
That'd be something different. You know what I mean? That'd be cool to see. You know what I mean? A dog saving Sydney instead of a human. Let's go. I'm all with it.
DJ says, should Scream 8 be the final installment of the Scream franchise? It depends on how they end it. If it's a Stu Macher ending, I could say I would be happy I'd be fulfilled of like, if they do everything that they are wanting to do in 7 and 8 and they wrap it up and it's like, okay, we can go to sleep for a little bit, but I don't want it to be the final installment. Let it, I want it to get rebooted again, whether we go back to the Carpenter sisters or we do a Kirby thing or even bringing Sydney back, you know, but I feel like if they do the whole Sydney and Stu thing, I feel like that needs to be the ending of her story. You know, that needs to be.
Do you want it to be like Final Destination 5, like they ended with Final Destination 5, and then years later they pick back up with Bloodlines as like a something like that?
Yeah, I mean, they could actually pick up with like a period piece. You know, they could pick up with like a period piece of like, okay, now we're telling the Marine Prescott story, and we get a young Marine Prescott. You know, it's not Lynn McRae who's playing her, which, you know, maybe she could like later on, like if they fast forward. But like, I would like to see like a young Marine Prescott story. Maybe there was more Ghostface killings and stuff happening in Hollywood before, you know, the media was big and it was like all that kind of stuff. Like this was like, and maybe we see the birth of the Ghostface mask a little bit. You know, like don't be too cheesy with it, but like the first like introduction of it and all that kind of stuff. Like I could see that. I wouldn't mind like going back like that. Or, you know, they could also say, hey, the Prescotts aren't the only ones that were tormented. And then here's another family, you know, maybe one of Marine Prescott's friends from Hollywood, you know, and veer off into another story. I mean, you could, it's a different killer every time. So it's easier to come up with something else. You know, you could go a lot of different ways, especially now that there's like a cult of ghost faces and they're in Atlanta and they're all over the place. Like, I don't think it's ever going to end. But I think that Sydney's story will end eventually. I think she could always reappear like a Laurie Strode character. But I think the overall story of her thing will end with the Stu Macher thing. Like, she'll quit being the main focus. But yeah, what do y'all think? Are y'all ready to say goodbye to Scream with Scream 8?
No, absolutely not. Like, listen, I get it. We get attached to certain characters and a certain style of story, and we don't want to, you know, we don't want to see nothing else after that. You know, we don't want the franchise to kind of go down this rabbit hole of kind of becoming wonky. I get that.
Yeah.
One thing, even in Scream 5 and Scream 6, even though those weren't the best Scream style movies, they're still very enjoyable to their own degree.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And much to what you said, Destin, anybody could be Ghostface. You know what I mean? I think the thing is with Scream, why people are so reluctant to move on past the Sidney Prescott story is because of the what are the what kind of new motives are you going to introduce in regards to why these killers are doing what they are doing and stuff. And me personally, I think that if you got somebody who knows what a Scream movie is supposed to look and feel like, not a knock on Radio Silence, I don't think that they really grasped what Scream is. But if you have somebody who does, I think that they can keep making Scream movies, you know what I mean, and tell new stories for many years to come. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, I mean, look at what Halloween did. For example, you know, many people after the first two films didn't want another Halloween. Well, they wanted more Michael Myers, but they wanted Laurie Strode to come back. But what happened? Jamie Lee didn't want to do anymore. So they had to reroute and find a new way to tell a new story. And even though the Jamie Lloyd character was connected to Laurie Strode, they found a way to tell a story for this character without Laurie having to be present and overshadowing her. And I think that you could do that with Scream. And this is another thing. Even if Sydney's story closes out, who's to say that her daughter might not take the reins of being the new final girl and stuff like that? So there's too many avenues that you could take if you really know what you're doing with Scream, if you know what Scream is supposed to be and stuff. If you can provide a good storyline, real killers who have great motives, we can keep getting formidable Scream movies for many years to come. There has not been one really, really bad Scream movie, in my opinion. I know some will disagree with that. I don't think so. I think every single one of them in their own way can be very enjoyable. Like, they're easy watches.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Yeah, what do you think, Dom?
Oh yeah. Kind of like Final Destination. Like, there's not really one bad movie, you know. a lot of
Except
people.
for
You motherfucker.
What is it about these 4s, man? Scream 4, Final Destination 4. You know,
I don't know, man.
I'm kidding. I'm just giving y'all two a hard time. Go ahead, dude.
But like Final Destination is a very like consistent franchise, as much as Scream is a consistent franchise in what they do. And so I feel like when it comes to continuing the franchise without Sydney, I think if, like Marcus said, if you focus on her daughter, I think that will open another can of worms, like in a good way, in terms of storytelling and what stories you can tell with her daughter. Or, you can go back to, I don't know if people want it, but you can go back to the sisters.
Yeah.
You can always go back to them and see their story and continue with them, since they've been established already. But I think that we have to move on from Sydney. We have to. Because Sydney's getting, or Neve Campbell's not getting, she's getting older. She still looks beautiful. She still looks great.
She's a badass.
Yeah. But age is creeping up on her, and I don't want to see her to be hurt or injured on set, and when she's doing stunts, because I don't know if she does her own stunts. She probably has a stunt double, but I know she does. I think she does some of stunts in the films, her hanging off the balcony. Maybe that's. But I just think age is creeping up, just like with Robert Englund, and she's not going to be as active as she used to be. You know what I'm saying? So I think we should definitely finish that story with Sydney and Stu, and then move on to her daughter, or move back with the Carpenter sisters, or tell a new story that's somewhere around the world that is cool, and it's something that we can follow along and build on. So I think because Scream is an open opportunity, it's an open book. The Ghostface attacks can happen anywhere.
Yeah, you could make it fresh, whatever's going on in the world. But we do have a super chat in the house. I've been meaning to get to it. We got Talking Star Wars with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Talking Star Wars. Appreciate that. Who do we think Ghostface is in 7? I think Anna Camp, if she's Stu's sister. Maybe one of the males too, like Sam Reckner. I'm gonna let Dom, you go first.
So I think it could be one of the males. Sam Reckner, probably Sam Reckner. I don't know too much about the casting, because I don't want to get spoiled on most of the casting. But I think definitely a male character like Sam Reckner, playing. And if Anna Camp turns out to be Stu's sister, then that'll be a twist, but it'll point even more towards the fact that maybe Stu is alive, and just his sister was helping him out. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on that for what I know about the casting.
Yeah. Marcus?
I think definitely if Anna Camp is going to be Leslie Mocker, then definitely she could be the killer. As for Sam Reckner, I know there's rumors out there. I mean, it's just rumors. We don't have nothing confirmed yet. But that he's supposed to be some kind of tech nerd. And obviously that he's actually Sydney's daughter's boyfriend in this film. And I personally think making him the killer would be too obvious, because
Yeah.
Sydney's daughter's name is Tatum. What happened, with Tatum Riley, her boyfriend, Stu, turned out to be the killer. I think that Sam Reckner's character is going to be more like a Trevor from Scream 4. He's going to be a massive red herring, but he's not going to be a killer. Now, if Anna Camp is Stu's sister, Leslie, then I think we have to start looking at who we know to be her son in the film, which is portrayed by Asa Germain. And there are definitely some shots, of Asa where he looks like a young Stu. He looks like a younger Matthew Lillard, like he does. You know what I mean? So I think that out of the males, my number one suspect right now would be him. If we're going in the cult direction, then I think it is important to note that in the original concept for the cult, that it was supposed to be the Woodsboro Cinema Club. Now, what do we know about Scream 7? There's going to be a play, basically a film club, where they're going to be doing this, Princess Fairy, whatever it's called, stuff or whatever. In the original concept for the cult, they were supposed to basically fake their deaths or whatever, and then at the end reveal themselves to be alive and that they are the cult members, being led by Stu. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, I think it's an open book. We could be getting 4 or 5. We could be seeing all these new characters turn out to be killers. You know what I mean?
That would be dope, dude.
So
have like a Cry Wolf thing. You ever seen the movie Cry Wolf?
Banger.
Yeah.
Banger,
or a PG-13 horror movie slasher mystery. It hits. It hits.
Yes. Man. That twist was amazing. But I think that we have to keep that in the back of our minds. If we are going to be going the cult route, it's possible that they're going to go with a similar route that was supposed to happen in the original concept. But obviously they modernized it, tweaked it, and any one of these people could be the killers. Any one of these kids could be the killers,
Yeah.
So I'm just fascinated by this, man. I'm so intrigued by how they're going to go about this. I think it could be something like this. We get the cult in Scream 7. Whoever the cult members are, they'll be revealed as the killers. And then in Scream 8, playing into the whole, is Stu alive? Is he dead? Whatever aspect, Stu could be the lone solo killer at the end. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, anything's possible. You know what I mean? I personally think we could be getting at least 4 or 5 killers in this movie.
That would be crazy. That would be crazy. Like all the daughter's friends are killers, and they're all obsessed with our mom, or something. Yeah. Do you think the climax with it being like a play and all that? You think we're gonna get like something like Scream 2, where we're gonna be on the stage, and it's gonna be very theatrical and stuff? I mean, I could see something like that, like the school. The town play, maybe there's a small theater or something, and doing that, like I could see something like that. Now, I like that idea, like the Cry Wolf idea of I do want some real kills throughout the movie, but maybe some of the kids that get killed, it's fake, and it's revealed later that it's just that they are part of the Ghostface cult and everything like that. So that's a really interesting idea, and I do like that. My idea, though. Now, this was my idea before we got Scream 8. Now, my idea of how to end Scream 7 with a kill leading into Scream 8, I more like that idea of being revealed for Stu, but this is how I think it's going to play. I do think that Anna Kemp is going to play a killer. Is she going to be Leslie Walker, Stu's sister? I don't know, but I still think she's going to be a killer. Let's say she is. Let's say that she is Leslie Walker. I think McKenna Grace is a killer. I think if anything, we're going to get 2 girl killers this time. I think that we've never had that before. We've never had 2 girl killers. I think that would be interesting. You get the 2 girl killers, that's revealed, and then we get Anna Camp's like spill about my brother and yada yada yada, and what happened? Was it the nephew in Scream 5?
Yeah,
Vince. Talk about him for a minute, and then she's like, you know, hi brother, and you see Stu walk up behind Sydney. And it's like, surprise, Sydney. So he's the 3rd. He's revealed. Like, and maybe the daughter's dealing with McKenna Grace, you know, trying to fight her off while she's trying to fight off Anna Camp. And maybe Gil and Sydney are fighting off Anna Camp and Stu Mocker. But I still kind of want Stu to live through 8. Because why is 8 being greenlit if you're going to kill Stu in 7? So it could be, like I did have this original idea that Stu would be revealed, and then, like, let's say Anna Camp's character gets killed, McKenna Grace's character gets killed, or whoever, the 2 killers get killed, and then maybe there's a big showdown between Sydney and Stu, and then next thing you know, the police are showing up, and you see the lights through the windows, and Sydney's like down on the ground, you know, looking up and being like, "It's over, Stu. It's over." And you know, he's got the knife and he's, you know, thinking about killing her or not killing her, and he's just like, no, it's just beginning. And he drops the knife and he walks out the door where the media, all the cameras are on him, the police got their guns drawn, and he just puts his hands up, like drops the knife and puts his hands up like this. And he gets down on his knees and he wants to get caught, because now his legacy is going to be more than everything. Because now it's like the story is Stu Mocker's alive, and you hear the whole rumbling. You know, like at the end of Scream 4 where like you had all the reporters reporting on what was happening. Something like that. You know, we're hearing like Stu Mocker's alive. Like that's the big headline. Like where has he been all these years? Yada, yada, yada. And then, like, maybe he has, like, a one line, like, looking up while he's getting, like, handcuffed. And he's just like, it was fun. Or something like that. You know, something, you know, he doesn't have to say anything. But it ends like that, him getting arrested. And he wanted to get arrested because now he's going to be doing that whole thing, like the following for Scream 8. Working behind closed doors and still having a cult. Because now, leading in, because like that would happen, but then to show like, okay, well, he's going to jail, nothing else is happening, still in the movie with the kill. Like, no, even though that Stu is behind bars, we just had a Ghostface kill, and now he's like a Hannibal Lecter. Sydney and Gail have to go to him being like, who is this? And he's just toying with them, you know, and he's like, this is bigger than you ever thought it could be. And and then Scream 8 is just very big about the Ghostface cult. Like, I don't know.
That's very interesting, because they could definitely do that, and like in regards to, let's say they don't pull the trigger on going full cult, but they still give us like 3 killers, Stu and 2 other people, and he obviously turns himself in and he does do all that, and then they decide to, in Scream 8, really explore the whole cult aspect,
right?
Stuff like that. Like, yeah, I like that, man. I think that definitely could be on the table as well. Yeah, man, that's a hell of an idea.
Yeah, dude. Like I thought about that a long time ago. Like I even thought about it, like if we still had the Carpenter sisters. And I'm going to play a clip for you talking Star Wars, because this is a great question. Thank you again for your super chat. I love you. Really appreciate it, helping out the channel, supporting it. But I had this idea, if the Carpenter, like if Sam Carpenter was still here and how she was having visions of her dad, of Billy, like if Sam, like in 5, like if he was revealed then, I was thinking that like, wouldn't it be cool, really, just like if the cameras were shot in a certain way, like if they were like stabbing each other or going at it, and the cameras were like panning, and you saw Billy in the mirror, like while they were like fighting, and he's just like nodding or whatever. So it felt like it was like Billy and Stu fighting a little bit. Like I thought that was really cool. I get really I get really like my gears start turning, man, and I just start thinking of just like really creative ways of like doing this. And I might be like way off, but it's just like something that was like, okay, this is how I would write this. This is how, and it might be too big. Some people might not like it, but you know, I do like the idea though of Stu wanting to get caught, because in Scream 5, he got mad. Everything's Billy about the Woodsboro murders. What better way to bring his name to being like, no, you forgot Billy and Stu. So this is now, he wants to get caught. He wants his name out there. People are going to write books about him and his return. And he's the Woodsboro killer now, you know? Like I kind of like it, man.
And it would be a nice callback to Mickey Altieri wanting to get caught.
Yes.
Just for a completely different reason.
Didn't see it coming, did you?
Right.
Hell yeah. Thank you again, Talking Star Wars. Let me see. I got a clip for you, and then I'm going to get back to the chat. Really appreciate it. Super chats do go to the front of the line, just like Talking Star Wars here. I love all these. I love this topic. I love hanging out with you guys and just like talking about Scream. Man, it is. I don't. Has there ever been a better time to be a Scream fan? Scream's hotter now than it's ever been. And it seems like the bad publicity even helped it a little bit, even though it's kind of sad to say a little bit, but there's so much, there's no such thing as bad publicity, it's all marketing. You're keeping its name out there, but it's just bigger than ever. It was always ahead of its time too. That's what I think. I think it just took a while for people to really catch up. But I guess the stew train just keeps chugging along.
Chugga 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 toot toot. Chugga 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 toot toot.
I need to send that to Craven. Put that at the front of that stew train. It makes me laugh. Oh man. But I'll tell you one thing, man. All these theories, it also makes and this is the last one, and then we'll get back to the chat. But again, dang, man, Talking Star Wars is getting 3. It's just because we haven't done any clips tonight, so yeah. But it's making my head explode.
Got it. Okay.
And this is the upper.
Enough! Do you want my head to explode? In the name of all that is good and decent, no more for today!
Anyways, thank you again, Talking Star Wars. Really appreciate that. Really good question. We can get kind of lost like explaining everything, and that's what's fun about Scream Talk. There's so many theories, so many ideas, and man, this chat is blowing up. This chat is. Thank you so much for the support.
Real quick, Destin, to elaborate on what you was just talking about how Scream 7 and just the franchise has pushed back and pushed past the bad publicity because of what happened with Melissa and all this stuff. I can't find it right now, but somewhere down along in the chat, I think it was DJ, had asked about if making too many Scream movies will tarnish Wes Craven's legacy. And I wanted to touch on that. I personally believe,
what time was that?
I lost it by now, but I seen it earlier when we were talking and stuff. But I wanted to elaborate on that because, and maybe some think I'm being a little too spiritual. Hey, think what you will. But I personally think that Wes from above was protecting this movie and this franchise, because think of how it played out. Look at all the negativity the franchise was getting, all the bad stuff that were being sent out to Christopher Landon when he was on board, Nev Campbell, Courtney Cox, some of the negative stuff that they were getting. And somehow, some way, this franchise found a way to not only push back against that negativity, but to up the ante and basically exceed in terms of hype level what many were expecting. Nobody expected Scott Foley to be announced.
No.
I mean, nobody expected Matthew to be announced when he was announced.
It wasn't supposed to.
In my opinion, if that was going to hurt Wes Craven's legacy, I just feel like whatever, you know, I don't want to say entity, but whatever spiritual believing you believe in, I believe that had a play in, you know, saving the Scream franchise. And I think it was Wes, you know, and his spirit working his magic from above, because he, you know, this franchise is not going to die. I just have a feeling like maybe I'm being too spiritual about it, but I feel like Wes's, you know what I mean, his spirit over this franchise is what catapulted it to what we are talking about now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, no offense to Melissa Barrera, Jenna Ortega, none of that. But I don't think Scream 7 would be getting the publicity that it is getting now if Nev, Matthew, David, all these legacy characters weren't coming back.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I do too, man. I do too, and yeah, I'm with you right there, man. And I think that's one reason why a lot of us start our channels, you know, and we found each other, you know, like
right.
Love for this franchise, the love for Wes Craven, for Wes, you know, like I have some of that on my shop, on my channel. Like whenever they did that at the end of Scream, I was like, man, that was great. And I made my own For Wes shirt, and I went and talked to Heather Langenkamp, and she was like, I love this shirt. That like I can't believe that they didn't market the more stuff like Scream and stuff like that with this. Like I hope they do it when they do a Nightmare on Elm Street. I hope they do the same thing for Wes. Like we need that, and I hope Kevin Williamson does it with Scream 7 and Scream 8. You know, and you know, it's my favorite franchise. We also got the Godfather of Woodsboro. I coined that for him. I called him that. Craven Something Scary's in the house. What's up, brother? Talking Scream. I had to drop in and say hello to everyone. Yeah, I always call that's my daddy. But yeah, I mean, like seriously, like the love of this franchise, this film, and the heart and soul of Wes Craven. There's something unique about him, and his movies were always ahead of its time. Like his way of thinking. You got to think about it, man. Like he came up with a Nightmare on Elm Street. Think about how many levels that is. Like that's deep. When you really think about it, when you take away a lot of stuff before, like Freddy, became what he was later on in the sequels. That's some deep thinking. That's some deep creativity. Same thing with the Scream franchise. He really does. He doesn't do like just one dimensional thing. He makes sure that that's good. Look at Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
So you cut out there for a second, buddy.
Oh, I did? Oh,
yeah, you did.
Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Look how many layers is that? Like, honestly, I was a young kid, and I snuck into Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and I loved it. Even though that the kills are few and far between, I loved the story. I was enthralled. Even though I was such a young kid, I don't know how old was I. I was probably 10, 11 years old, and I was supposed to probably be seeing Ernest Scared Stupid or something, and I'm sneaking into Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I always did stuff like that when I was a kid. I was a big Fred head, and man, I just loved it. And a lot of people, that was their negativity about the movies. Like there wasn't enough Freddy, there wasn't enough kills, and it was like, man, no, story comes first. Story comes first. Characters come first. It makes it that much scarier. It makes it that much more meaningful. And man, you can just tell everything that Wes was, man. He was a good soul. Rest in peace. And his legacy is living on, man. And I think we're getting it with the Scream movies right now. And I think it's just a matter of time we're going to get it with the Nightmare on Elm Street. And they better respect Wes on it, you know. They better keep true to it.
I also want to mention a film he did called Deadly Friend. He
Oh
did a
yeah, I forgot about
he
that one.
it's way ahead of its time because of the whole AI killer robot
Hmm.
type thing he was doing with that movie.
Yeah.
And then now you got Megan and then Megan 2.0 and you got
Hmm.
killer robot, like killer AI robot, just going around
Yeah.
doing shit.
Don't forget
That's
about AI Chucky.
Yeah, AI Chucky too. Yep, that
Yeah.
one too.
It was decent. It was okay. But yeah, you're right. You're right. He was always ahead of his time, and I remember seeing Deadly Friend whenever I was younger. I need to rewatch that as an adult. I remember. I think it's Christy Swanson in that, like a young Christy Swanson who played Buffy the Vampire Slayer in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's her. Dude, I used to have a crush on her, man. Like, also David Arquette's in that Buffy the I like that movie. I like the '90s Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie. It's a fun watch. But speaking of Wes Craven, just a good soul. And since we're all here, let's celebrate for a minute and hear a few words that he has to share.
Well, yeah, I have a very sort of ambivalent view of myself as an artist or as a filmmaker. I mean, somebody once, when I was first starting in films in New York, says, if you want something on your gravestone in the film business, I think the best thing is filmmaker. If you can honestly say that, that's all you need to say. And that I think I would like that on my gravestone, along with whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Man, I just like hearing him talk, man, because
Right.
he just seems like a very easy. Everybody that's ever worked with him I haven't heard one person say anything negative about him. He seems like the most friendliest person, kind, selfless person, kind of like our beloved Dewey. And I'd like to think that like maybe he directed Dewey to be kind of like a young Wes Craven, just his heart, where his heart was.
I agree, bro. And I'm glad you played that clip because that's what I'm elaborating to right there. Just listening to how that man was speaking, his spirit would not let this franchise die. His spirit would not let it die to the point we were gifted Kevin Williamson as the director to come in and save the day. But not only save the day, but sit there and be able to bring back all these legacy characters that we love. Matthew Lillard as Stu Macher. Scott Foley as Roman Bridger. David Arquette is even coming back, even though we just seen him killed in Scream 5. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, in my opinion, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think making too many Scream movies will hurt Wes's legacy, especially if you continue to do it right.
Right.
You know what I mean? If anything, it will only grow his legacy even more because it shows how much his legacy has had an impact on other future filmmakers. You know what I mean? So, man, I'm glad you played that clip, man, because Wes Craven, I love watching his interviews. Like you said, he's just like so well-spoken, like very chill, very well-mannered. Like, he just seems like somebody you want to invite to the barbecue and have a conversation with. Yeah.
Like I would have loved to meet him. Like I met John Carpenter, but I wish I would have met Wes Craven. Like those are the two. Like
Right.
I want to be a horror film director. I want to be a film director in general, and I know one day I will be. I am working on a couple scripts. You know about that, but
yes, sir.
Like big inspiration. Like my main inspiration is Wes Craven. I always think that like films have to have layers. Films have to story first. It can't just be carnage candy. It's got to make sense. And like he does such a good thing at like building these characters and like even like it's deep. Like Nightmare on Elm Street was psychological and a slasher, bringing it both in, And I can see it. It's not scary to us now. I mean, yeah, I still think it's a little frightening. Some scenes in the original and part two. Part two don't get enough love, but I just think that like his level of creativity. A lot of people talk about Stephen King, like he thinks from like another dimension or something. Like his mind. Wes Craven is on another level. And it goes to show, man. Like I mean, it's still living to today, and I don't think it should ever end. I don't think it should ever end.
And real quick, Destin, you forgot the other part of what you just said. Wes Craven found a way with Freddy Krueger to not only make a psychological horror film, it was also a supernatural horror film as well as a slasher. That's three main components in the horror genre bunched into one.
Right.
That's genius level work right there. Like, you know what I mean? You know how hard it is to do just to even make one of those categories in a film alone? And he found a way to do all three in one. And then you can even add a little comedy in there. You know what I mean? Like, he found a way with that character to bunch all these genres together and make it work, make it scary, make it fun, make it visualistic, you know, make you think and stuff like that. Like, it just shows, you know, it just goes to show the testament that how much of a genius this man was and how much he was ahead of his time. You know, stuff with people like that movie, People Under the Stairs. That was ahead of its time too. You know what I mean? And stuff like that, especially for society and stuff like that. Like, it just seems like this guy had his finger on the pulse of where society and where just anything in life, whatever, you know, era he was a part of was heading. Like, he was that damn good. Like, to me, this is why I say, like, I love me some John Carpenter. But if you do ask me who's the better director, it's Wes Craven.
Oh yeah, yeah, hands down. And no knock against John Carpenter because he has some really great stuff. Honestly, like, let me say one thing, and I'll let you talk, Dom. And this isn't a knock towards John Carpenter. Like, I got pictures with him; he's cool and everything. I just don't think John Carpenter is as humble as Wes Craven either, and that's a big thing, you know, like. They say don't ever meet your heroes and all that kind of stuff. And I think John Carpenter's kind of, you know, he's not, I mean, he's cool. But you can tell that, like, he'll let you know if he's annoyed, you know, like he doesn't want to be too bothered. He wants to say, hey, and go, you know, and he's not inviting. That's the word. He's not inviting. He's not an inviting presence. And, it seemed like Wes Craven was an open book. And I think that's why a lot of people really liked working with him. They were so comfortable with him. But go ahead, Dom.
Also, another one that is also kind of like another standout from Wes Craven is Vampire in Brooklyn.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. It doesn't get enough love.
Not at all.
Like, he was able to do comedy and horror at the same time that would lead into something like Scream, where it was a mixture of a bit of comedy or humor and horror, you know. And so he was able to, like, balance the two and, like, figure out a way. And working with Eddie Murphy, like, even Eddie Murphy was like, I couldn't wait to work with this guy because this guy is, like, one of my favorite horror directors. And so he worked with them, and he said he had a good experience with them as well. So it just goes to show you, man, Wes Craven's a genius. He's a genius. He's a great guy, you know, from experience from other co-workers and cast members and stuff. And he's just
easy to work with.
Time. He's good to work with.
He's a leader, not a dictatorship. He doesn't act like a boss. He's there. He's a
collaborator.
Exactly. Yeah. And I love that, man. Like Vampire in Brooklyn, People Under the Stairs. So many of his movies are on another level that just don't get the praise that it needs. Go ahead, Marcus.
Yeah, to elaborate real quick, you know, he was able to take a guy in Eddie Murphy, who is a known comedian, one of the greatest, arguably probably the greatest comedian of all time, and made him terrifying and made him imposing and made him serious. You know, it kind of reminds me in a way of Stu. Stu was goofy. Stu was fun. He was funny, you know, but then when it was time to turn on that aggressive switch, he became truly terrifying. Yes. You know, and Wes had this knack for working with these guys who had a genuine talent in being hilarious and being goofballs, but making them
comedians.
but making them into forces of nature to a degree in terms of psychologically sadistic. You know what I mean? Like, he just had that gift, and I don't think we see that too much in horror anymore.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was the thing. Like, I mean, you think about even like Jamie Kennedy, he was a comedian, you know, he was an up and coming comedian, and he still is to today. And that's just, you know, it just goes to show, man, like I think there is something like scary to that. Like, when you have such a likable personality and you're goofy, but then you turn dark on a button, and it's kind of like, whoa, this isn't who I thought you were, you know, like it's like a split personality type of thing. So yeah, man, it's a lot of great points, and I think that Wes Craven's the type of director to get that out of his actors too, and that's because of his inviting presence. I think that he's kind of like, he can guide them, and not in a way that feels like he's their boss telling them what to do. He's like, let's try this, let's try that, and you know, like he has such a melatonin personality. I can't see I don't think I've ever seen anything about him raising his voice or getting an attitude or anything. He's just humble, man. DJ says, I smell a Scream 7 and Scream 8 will be a double feature. How do y'all feel about that? Like, what if they do something like that, like a Grindhouse type thing? Like, man, that would be. I think if they did do something like that, I don't know if it'd be in a double feature. I could see them coming out like months apart from each other, and then they bring them back to the theater as a double feature to kind of, you know, they're going to want to get the most revenue for both films, and then they can bring them back and get more revenue to have like a double feature party movie type thing back to back. I do like that idea though. Like, if they did like a marathon of Scream movies in the movie theater, and I'm pretty sure they do somewhere, man, I'd watch them. How do y'all feel about that? Do you want Scream 7 and 8 to be a double feature, or do you want them to be apart from each other? Marcus?
I think that, I mean, I wouldn't mind it being a double feature, but I think that if you were going to do that, you would have had to announce Scream 8 the day you announced Scream 7 and announce it as a double feature. I will say this, 2026, 30 years, this is going to be owned by Scream. Scream is going to release 2 movies in 2026. Scream 7 in February, and in my opinion, Scream 8 will release in December, 2 days before the 30th anniversary of the original film, December 18th. Mark it on your calendar or whatnot. That's what I think. 2026. It could
be a Christmas movie?
I said that in my video earlier. That is definitely possible. That is definitely possible. Because think about it, at least from what we're hearing about the 7th film, it's going to be kind of in between, I want to say what the rumors are saying, in between summer heading into fall. So if 8's going to be somewhat of a continuation of Scream 7 or whatever, then you would have to think that it's not going to be that far apart in months for the story to pick up. So we could be leading into Christmas time for Scream 8. So, man, 2026 dominated by Scream. I'm telling you right now, they're going to release 2 movies, 30-year anniversary, redemption tour, all the negativity, everything that this franchise has endured over the last 2 years. This is going to be their redemption tour next year. I cannot wait. I personally believe we are going to get 2 films back to back, months apart from each other. And it's going to be incredible to watch, man. It makes all the sense in the world for them to do that, because let's really be honest. I mean, we've already had to wait. We're already having to wait Scream 7 for a whole year. You really think they're going to make us wait a whole nother year for Scream 8 to continue this story that should only take place maybe days or a month apart in regards to the storyline timeline? I don't think so. I think they're going to sit there and release these films months apart from each other, and that this storyline is going to be very, very close to summer, ending the summer, early fall, and then we lead into Christmas. All I'm going to say is that if we do get a Christmas-style Scream film, they better find some good non-slip boots for them ghost faces so they ain't slipping all over the place chasing people.
Now that you said that, I would love to see the Stu Macher house decked out in like Christmas and the Christmas tree there and all that kind of stuff. Like that would be cool. I could see like Sydney like throwing the Christmas tree on top of Stu, shoving the star up his ass.
Real quick, what if like what if in Scream 8, like the opening kill, you know how you said Scream 7 would end with an ending kill with Martha. What if Scream 8 opens with a kill with somebody who's living in Sydney's old house?
See, I like that. See, that's what I feel like 5 should kind of missed on. Like we didn't get besides the Macher house, we didn't get too many familiar locations. I've always said that I thought it would be interesting, like if we ever do go back to like Woodsboro, if we started getting like the killer is killing people based off the original Woodsboro murders, like the Casey Becker house, Sydney's house could get a kill, you know, or an attack and a kill. Just the school, the principal's office, like you know, and that's kind of like the Ghostface's pattern of killing. Is they're mimicking the kills out of Stab 1 or whatever. And so yeah, I mean, I like it. I think that we do need to see something of Sydney's house back, and maybe a chase scene at least, you know. Maybe, you know, like maybe a new family lives there and they get killed, and you know, Sydney comes by to pay her, you know, maybe the daughter lived, or somebody, one of the family members lived, and Sydney comes and, you know, to talk to them and say, I used to live in this house, and I just, you know, and then asking her questions, and then come to find out, like, that's very similar to my attack that was in this house. Except this one didn't get away.
Or, and it just came to my mind, even though Neil Prescott, it would seem in Scream 4, did not live in Woodsboro anymore, that doesn't mean that he still doesn't own that house. And
he's like renting it out.
And who's to say he never rented it out? They just left the house there, but he still owns it. And just what if this time he did go back there to live? And Scream 8, this is where we see Neil get killed. And I know some out there would be like, "Oh no, Scream 4 said he is dead." No, that is a deleted scene. That does not count.
It is a deleted scene. Yep.
You know what I mean? So, what if they could kick off Scream 8 like that? Like, I kind of feel like that would be a nice way to kind of open Scream 8, especially if they do the Martha Meeks kill like you want in the end of Scream 7, because then we got 2 legacy characters who directly tie into Sydney and the past of Woodsboro. Yeah, you know. And stuff like that, bro. Man, listen. And I did want to elaborate on what you said earlier about a possible ending of maybe seeing Stu in the coffee shop, you know, interacting with her daughter, and then that's the ending, and it shows him like walking out the door or something like that. That, even though that would obviously reveal that Stu is alive, that could be intriguing, because it would kind of be like what Kevin Williamson wanted to do with Jill's character, and what we kind of thought we were going to get with Jason Carvey's character in Scream 6, where we are following the killer in the next film to a degree and stuff like that. So, bro, like, all these ideas are on the table. I think we're onto some stuff, man, with Scream 7 and Scream 8, man. Like, I'm so fascinated by what they're going to do with this, man. I'm so excited.
I am too, man. I think I think it needs to be, and I think it will be something shocking, and I think it will be meaningful. Now, there's always one Ghostface that you're going to be like, pretty much, that's got to be a Ghostface. You kind of got your finger on someone, but there's always like that. I want that. Give me that surprise. Give me that feeling again, to where I was like, oh, I didn't see that coming. You know, like even though that like Scream 6 had 3 killers, it was kind of like it still didn't hit. It didn't hit at all. It felt like too many honestly, it was too many killers. If they were going to have that many killers, they should have had a bigger group. They should have had a much bigger group, more suspects, because pretty much half of our group is the killers. You know, like of the group. Like it kind of pissed me off a little bit. What were you going to say, Dom?
I was gonna say that, like, you know, with that reveal, I didn't feel that much like of a oh shit, like shocking moment from Scream 6. Like, yeah, like Detective Bailey, like I honestly didn't like. I was like, oh shit, like okay, but then when they revealed Ethan, and then they revealed Quinn, I was like, okay, like this is not what I was expecting.
Ethan is like Charlie 2.0. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, man. I'm kidding.
Charlie would wipe the floor with that boy.
Probably. I'll give it. Okay. I'm with you on that. I'll give Charlie that. Charlie could kick. Charlie kick Ethan's ass. Yeah, for sure.
Oh man, you just love pushing that button with me, man.
It's fun. It's fun.
It is. I can't even lie.
But no, I'll watch Scream 4 again, man. I'll go through it with different eyes. I don't know, but no. Charlie isn't that bad. I think I just like. I don't know. I was in a weird mood that night when I first saw the movie, and you know, a lot of people know that I was spoiled on who the killers were before I went and saw it. Like I was hoping the whole entire movie, please don't be these two. Please don't be these two. Please be something else. And it was. And I was just like, damn it.
I think what hurt it for a lot of people too is that Charlie, outside of the Ghostface mask, his personality didn't seem to match up with the tenacity and the aggressiveness that he had when he was in costume. And I think that's what turned a lot of people away from Charlie and stuff. And me, just for me personally, I didn't mind that at all because, I mean, I get it. We want to like the personality of these killers outside of the mask and stuff. And we do want them to match that physical imposingness that they show when they are underneath the mask and stuff like that. But I personally felt that was a nice diversion because we've always gotten that. You know what I mean? And stuff with these killers, you know, leading into Scream 4. We've always had those killers that were, you know, that matched what they were outside of the mask. And I thought that Charlie kind of still being that dorky, wimpy, you know, this guy, he's the one who's the killer. You know what I mean? Like, you mean to tell me you can't just toss him? I actually like that because it was something different. It was just like, okay, yes, he is this ruthless killer underneath his costume, but outside of it, he's really just the guy you see, you know, throughout the whole movie. He's a dork. He's wimpy.
I just wanted to see him more menacing once he was revealed as the killer. Like I wanted him to be scary at that point, and I didn't even believe that like Sydney was scared of him. And that was another thing. I think like I didn't feel like Sydney was her best in that movie either. Like I was just thinking, man, no, Sydney ain't putting up with this shit. Why is she listening to their shit? I mean, I know she got stabbed and she's kind of like holding on to the counter, but like I don't know. I don't know. I know it's just a movie, but Apollo Balboa 1985 says, any idea when the trailer will be released? I'll go first on this one. I will go first on this one. I don't know about the full first official trailer, but I think we're getting a teaser with I Know What You Did Last Summer. I think we're getting a teaser. I think they got enough time to cut a teaser together, show us some like quick little clips and a Ghostface and market Scream 7. I think that's all we're going to get. And then I think we're going to get our first official trailer like around the holidays, anywhere between Halloween to Christmas. That's what I think. What do you think, Marcus?
I agree. I think it makes all the sense in the world for them to release that snippet of a trailer when I Know What You Did Last Summer is released, because of how synonymous and how tied to the 90s they are to each other. You know, obviously, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Yes, exactly. And obviously the fact, like we talked about before, Kevin Williamson also wrote that first movie of I Know What You Did Last Summer. So that would be a nice little nugget, and stuff like that to the 90s slashers. And I think that in regards to an actual trailer, I agree, probably around Halloween time, maybe Thanksgiving time, maybe, and stuff, because February, so 2 months, boom, boom. Yeah, so in my opinion, you definitely want to get a head start and maybe around Halloween time. You know what I mean? Because by that time, you're going to have about 4 months to work with before the film is released. So then that gives you more than enough time to drop the trailer, maybe drop other little snippets, and then drop a second trailer if you are going to drop a second trailer. And then obviously we lead into the movie. Because you already know, because this is the era that we're in, there are going to be some leaks and stuff that come out along the way in regards to like what the movie looks like, that will either be true, be legit, or won't be legit.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I definitely think that I'm agreeing with you. I Know What You Did Last Summer. If you're going to see that movie, get there before the previews start, because Scream 7, the trailer, at least the snippet or whatever of the trailer will be released in leading into that movie.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to be anything significant. I think it could be just like Sydney answering a phone, and maybe like the ending of the Scream movies, they always do this like clip of just like like a stutter effect of just Ghostfaces, something like that, and then just title card Scream 7, February.
You know what would be cool if they kind of went back to that 1990s, early 2000, like with Scream 3. Where they did that basically little promo where you see like the Ghostface mask kind of forming as smoke, and you hear that, and then you just see certain little clips, but there's no dialogue, there's nothing or whatnot, and then it just cuts. Like that would be pretty cool, because let's be honest. I mean, even if when the trailer comes out, I don't want them to basically reveal too much.
Right.
You know what I mean?
There'll be a lot of it's like Scream 5, like how we figured out who the killers were just from the trailer.
Right. So I hope that they don't go in that direction. I'm hoping that Kevin Williamson, I think with Kevin Williamson be on board, he is going to be nip-tucked in terms of what they are going to edit out for the trailer, so that we're getting something, but we're not getting too much.
Right. Yeah. I agree. What about you, Dom? When do you think we're going to get the trailer?
I agree 100% with both of you. I think we're getting the trailer during I Know What You Did Last Summer. We're getting like a teaser, maybe it's like Friday.
It's going to be the first piece of marketing, pretty much.
Yeah. Like, the teaser for what was that? Kind of like the teaser for like one of the old ones, like Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. Like all you see was just Leatherface or grabbing the chainsaw out of the water and all that stuff, that type of stuff. Or like a Jason Takes Manhattan, where like you see Jason, you don't know it's Jason, but like same thing over here, you see Ghostface, but you don't know it's Ghostface, and he's just standing there watching like the overlook of like Woodsboro or something.
Yeah.
And then you see someone walk by, and then he turns around with his knife and he scares them, and then you see a bunch of like different people reacting, and then they're screaming into the camera, and and then it zooms in at the same time in Ghostface mask, and then into his eye, and then it's like Scream 7.
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
something like artistic, stylish, like thing. Yeah,
Playing into that artistic, stylish thing. What if the teaser trailer? Remember, Matthew said he was supposed to be in the trailer. We don't know if they're still going to do that or whatever. What if they do? And what we see is basically it cuts on. We see somebody in a robe. We don't see the Ghostface mask. We just see somebody in a robe. They're in a Ghostface lair. You see a bunch of computers, whatever, this and this and that. And they basically click on the keyboard. And then Stu's face pops up. Surprise, Sydney. And then it cuts. Like,
I think it'd be cool, like even if like her daughter, and then Sydney realizes that Stu, like, who is this? And then she looks at the screen and it's like Stu talking to her daughter, and that just makes her like, what? And like it cut like that. Like I said it earlier. I said it earlier about the coffee shop. How, like, did you hear what I said about? I think you might have been gone for a minute, but like how, you know, the coffee shop is supposed to be called like the Little Latte or something like that her daughter works at, that Sydney owns. And what if, like, you know, after the events of everything, like, or maybe even like in the middle of the movie, I don't know, but like her daughter is like, here you go, you know, like, and like they say something, you hear someone talk, and we're like, oh, that sounds like Stu. And then the camera turns around and it, like, you see like his name on like the coffee cup, like at Starbucks or something. It says Stu Macher or something like that. And he picks it up and he's like, I knew your mom. See you around. And like walks out. And kind of like she doesn't know anything. She doesn't know what he's talking about. And I think that would be kind of cool, like for the ending of Scream 7, if they, you know, go something like that instead of a kill.
I agree, because like I said a few moments ago, that would kind of be Scream 8 leading into them. Basically, we're following Stu through his perspective to a degree. You know what I mean? We're following the killer, you know what I mean, throughout the movie instead of having to guess and stuff, which is what we thought they were going to do in Scream 6 with Jason Carvey. So, and that would be something different. You know, it establishes that Stu is alive, but just because now we know Stu is alive, it doesn't mean, I mean, he could be acting alone, but he could still have other people with him. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. So that would be nuts, man, if that's how it would end, you know, with him just popping up at the fucking coffee shop.
And just kind of like messing with the daughter, you know.
What if after she hands him the cup and, you know, he's like, oh yeah, you know, I knew your mom, and they'll see you around. He sips the coffee and he's like,
oh yeah. Or he does like the guitar thing when he leaves, like he walks out the coffee shop and he's like, and like walks off screen, and then boom, the movie's over.
Yes, bro, that would be tight. I would not hate that.
Like he's like a killer, but he's like, damn, he's still
Stu.
Yeah,
he's still Stu.
Yeah,
and that's what we want. We don't want Stu to be watered down. We don't want him to be, you know, I know some people out there are kind of like, they want him to kind of be this like Hannibal Lecter figure where he's helping Sydney and them, and then maybe he's going to be revealed as the killer still. No, we have to have Stu be Stu, but elevate, you know, and that's why I think Mason Gooding's interview is so, you know, interesting when he talks about Scott Foley and Matthew Lillard and what Scream 7 is going to do with them. Because he said in the original movie, when you compare the original movie to Stu now, in the original movie, Stu is basically grounded. What does that mean? That basically he was crazy, but there's going to be levels ramped up to this craziness. You know what I mean? So I'm all here for it, man. I just want Stu to be Stu, but elevated.
Right. And the one thing that I don't want it to feel like how Matthew Lillard is portrayed as, you know, like in Five Nights at Freddy's. Right. I don't want that type of stew. I don't want that. That's not what I'm talking about when I want like crazy, menacing or anything like that. Like, I don't know. I mean, that's fine for that or whatever, but please don't bring that to this character in this movie. Like, be unique for sure. Cody's in the house. What's up, guys? He says, "Damn, Destin is live. It's been a while. Hope all is well." Yeah, we've been doing the live streams a lot more lately, man. Good to see you, Cody. Glad to have you. Hope everything's going well. Paula says, "Theory. I believe that she met Mark in Scream 3. They never said what town she was living in, and she was in fact living in wooded area." Who met Mark in Scream 3?
I believe Sydney.
Okay.
That's what I would have to think, being at Mark.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. You mean the new Mark, her husband, Mark.
Yeah. Maybe after the events of Scream 3.
Yeah. Maybe. I wish they would have just changed his name and still like left it to where maybe, Patrick Dempsey could come back to play as Mark. Like you could have her married and being like, maybe she divorced. Like you could tie it in there being like, this is her new husband. Her and Mark Kincaid actually divorced, and this is Joey. I don't know. And do something like that and always have that maybe come back,
Right.
if he does say yes.
Or maybe like they play into it like, Kincaid and Sydney had a thing, but it like never really like went that far, but they remained friends. Mm-hmm. Something like that. You know what I mean? It stinks that we even have to go to that extent. I will say this, that if the timeline that I mentioned earlier is correct, that Scream 7 will be picking up 5 years after Scream 6's events, then that would mean Sydney's oldest daughter, Tatum, was born in 2012, meaning that Sydney either met Mark Evans after Scream 4's events or was already with him, but she was on her book tour, which is why we did not see him.
Okay. Yeah. We lost Dom.
I honestly just like did a double take. I'm just like, oh wait, what? It's just two of us now.
Yeah. He'll be back. Ghostface is going to do a transfer of evil like Michael and Corey on Halloween is. No.
Let's go. Oh man.
Cody says, I think Chad, Mindy, and Mark will die, and end of Scream will end a cliffhanger for Scream 8. Sort of like how did the Fast and Furious 10 and the ending of that. Yeah, it's a big possibility. I mean, honestly, they could rip our hearts out like that. They could kill Chad, Mindy, Sydney's husband, Gail. Like, man, it could be like this could be like, think about it, that'd be like the most memorable Scream movie besides the first one. It's just like, man, they killed everybody. They killed everybody in 7. What are they going to do with 8?
Right.
King Matthew III says, what if Sydney's daughter and Chad gets in a relationship together with each other, giving us this generation's Randy and Sydney, since we got it. Well, Sydney's daughter's a little bit too young. If they're doing a time jump, for sure. I'm going to let you talk about this. I'll be right back. I know I'm not supposed to say that.
Yeah, basically what Destin just said, she would be too young. Chad in Scream 5 would probably be 18. Let's just go with 18. You add the year onto it in Scream 6, that'd be like 19. Add the 5-year time jump, he'd be 24. Sydney's daughter is 16. Yeah, we know that's not going to go over well at all. And in regards to Chad, I honestly think that because I did this theory video, I released it earlier, where because they're going to have to obviously explain how the Carpenter sisters aren't present for this new killing spree. And I did a video basically hinting at the possibility that if the rumors are true, that Chad and Mindy are working with Gale Weathers, that they possibly could have betrayed the Carpenter sisters in regards to maybe they did a book with Gail. You know, Gail loves writing her books about the, you know, events, the Ghostface murders. What if the twins, or we could have got a true crime docuseries. Remember in Scream 6, Gail said that that was, you know, basically what was in demand in regards to trying to sell the Stab movie rights. So whether it's a book or a docuseries, what if the twins helped Gail with a project in regards to Scream 6's events and the murders, or even, you know, previous murders throughout the franchise, but along the way of touching on that, the twins basically made up falsehoods about the sisters like Gail did to Sam in Scream 6. You know, and that basically would explain why the Carpenter sisters aren't in this movie and why the Core Four's relationship deteriorated. Now, in regards to Chad, I would put it this way. If that theory were to be utilized, I don't think it would be so much Chad who would have been the one to throw the sisters under the bus. I think it would have been Mindy or whatnot. Because if Mindy's supposed to be like this reporter or something like that, then that kind of shows me she's like Gail, a little bit of opportunistic, to where Chad is kind of like the odd man out. If Mindy and Gail did that to the Carpenter sisters in regards to making up falsehoods about them, then it's not hard to believe that that's why Chad and Tara's relationship deteriorated, even if Chad didn't have anything to do with that. You know what I mean? Because I think in Scream 7, this is another storyline that's going to be fascinating, is what kind of version of the Meeks Martin twins are we going to get in this movie? How are they going to be portrayed? Are they going to be portrayed like they were in Scream 5 and Scream 6? Or are they going to be portrayed entirely different? And why I mention that, especially in regards to Chad, is because he's basically, in so many words of the newer Scream films, the new Dewey. You know what I mean? Like, he had that likability to him. Even also, he got stabbed God knows how many times and lived just like Dewey. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
I think if something like that were to transpire, it would be more Mindy and Gail that did that to the Carpenter sisters, not Chad, and that they would basically be keeping Chad kind of like how he was in the previous films and doubling down on Mindy's unlikability, because nobody really cared for Mindy in Scream 5 and Scream 6. You know what I mean? So that's what I think in regards to, you know, Chad Meeks Martin's character and his possible role in Scream 7. But this whole bit with Sydney's daughter, he's too old. That's, you know what I mean? That would not only sit well in the movie, that would not sit well with audiences at all.
No, and that's how I feel too. Like, at first I was thinking like, oh yeah, but there wasn't a time jump. But even at that, he was in college and she's supposed to be a teenager. Yeah, I don't think that would work. Now I could see Chad. I could see Chad becoming like a cop in the town or something. Like, maybe he is a cop now. You know, he's got to have some sort of career now after college. And
well, apparently he's working with Gail as her cameraman. He's the new Kenny/Joel.
Yeah, and is that confirmed?
It's not confirmed, but it's heavily rumored. So we'll see.
Okay. Yeah, and that works too. That works too. It'd be kind of cool to get Joel back too. I think that would be a lot of fun, and having like Chad and Joel kind of competing or something. You know, like both being cameramen. You know, like or something.
That's what's interesting too about that is when you think about it, and I mentioned it in my video earlier. It's interesting how, if this rumor is true that Chad and Mindy are working with Gail, how did it get to that point? Because in Scream 5 and Scream 6, Gail hardly interacted with them, even though they're, you know, related to Randy. She mainly interacted with the Carpenter sisters. So if they are working with Gail in this movie, how did that relationship grow?
From the hospital. They were all injured. And maybe just after that. I mean, look how they kind of shoehorned Kirby as an FBI agent.
That's true.
In there, you know, they could do something. I mean, we might not like it. It might not be the best writing or anything, but I mean, I'm not going to run it. They got to figure out a way to get them to Indiana, and Gail does seem like the most reason. I can't just see them being like, "Oh, we all live here with Sydney. We had no idea," or whatever. You know, there had to be something, or
Right.
maybe there's an event that they're all coming to, or you know, I thought about like a Ghostface survivor group or something like that, and maybe you know we get them a part of it. I don't know. It's very puzzling. It's very puzzling with their characters, but I think we're gonna say goodbye to Mindy though. I think we're gonna say goodbye to Mindy. I don't want too many relationships. I think that Sydney's daughter's already in a relationship, right?
Yep.
I think she's already got a boyfriend, so I think they're gonna keep it as that. Maybe Chad's got a new love interest or whatever, and I don't really know, man. I'm really puzzled how they're gonna fit into the story, but it's just make it make sense.
Right.
Well, welcome to the party, Dom. Welcome back.
I'm back.
I'm back. All right, like a Terminator. I'm back. Hell yeah. Let me see here. Paula says, theory, Dewey knew that Stu was alive and that led to his retirement. That's what, yeah, we talked about that earlier. I'm kind of behind on the chat too. I mean, damn, that's at 9:30. I might have to skip over some. So if I miss you, I'm sorry. But I am really behind on the chat. We're over 2 hours now, which is flown by. We got T. Parker Evans in the house. I feel Scream 7 and 8 will be Halloween 2018 and kills taking place around the same time frame or in the same year. Yeah, welcome, dude. Yeah, great idea. What do y'all think about like right after we get the trailer of Scream 7 and we get Scream 9 greenlit? Kind of like how we did a Halloween 2018 kills and ends. And now instead of it just being a 2-feature, like maybe they've only signed, I think that was probably the biggest reason, because if you remember correctly, Courtney Cox took a while for her to sign on. I bet you that's what a lot of this contracts was they were like, we're trying to get you for 2 movies instead of 1. And they were probably trying to figure out salaries and who gets what and how this is going to play out and everything. But what if it's 3, dude? Like,
I mean, Craven seems to think so. He thinks that this is going to be a new Sidney Prescott trilogy.
That's what I'm thinking too, man. I mean, why stop at 2? I mean, you could probably do it in 2, but I think you could do it in 3 as well. Like, maybe in the 3rd one, maybe her daughter kind of takes a more, front role. And by that time she's going to be a little bit older, a few years older. And man, Isabel May is a terrific actress. Have you ever seen her in anything?
No.
Oh my God, dude. Watch, there's this school shooting movie called Fight or Flight. No, not Fight or Flight. Fight or Flight. I don't know. It's something like that. Run, Hide, Fight. Something like that. I'll send it to you. But it's her in a high school, and it's like Die Hard in a high school. Like there's kids come in to do a shooting and all that kind of stuff, and she's hiding in the bathroom. She goes into the ceiling. She's trying to sneak around, get on the phone with her dad, which is Thomas Jane, who's the Punisher. The Punisher in the movie. And it's like, Dad, this is what's going on. The police are around. And it's a really tense movie, dude. She did really good in that. And then she was in the prequels of Yellowstone, in the Western ones. Man, she's a really good actress. She's going to be a badass. I think she's going to kick Ghostface's ass. She's strong.
One thing I will say, if this is going to be a new Sidney Prescott trilogy, and I've been beating this drum for a minute now, basically the original trilogy was Sidney paying for the indiscretions of her mother, Maureen.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, especially if Sidney's daughter is going to end up being the main focus, if that's what they are doing between Sidney and her. What if Sidney did something that was a terrible indiscretion, and now her daughter is going to be paying for it eventually. Sydney's paying for it, obviously, front and center the first 2 movies, but now when we get to the 9th movie, or we could just have 7 and 8 as Sydney versus Stu, and then in Scream 9, that's where we get this indiscretion that plays into the relationship between Sydney and her daughter and stuff, because we know this, Scream definitely stays within itself. That's why it's been so consistent for the most part. You know what I mean? So it's not hard to believe. And I always say that, I've been saying this for a couple years now, I want to see something different with Sydney. I don't want to see the same old Sydney Prescott.
Yeah.
I want to see something, and some people might not like this, but yes, I'm not going to lie. I want to see Sydney fuck up. I do. I want her to fuck up just one time. You know what I mean? Just one time.
Hey, what's going to happen is she's going to suspect that her daughter's boyfriend's a killer, and she's going to punch him in the nose, and now she done punched a minor. But he's not. And now she's in trouble.
No, but what if Sydney messes up like Maureen did and has an affair?
Oh man, what if? Oh man.
Remember, Maureen said it in a dream. You're poison. You're just like me. And when you think about the first 3 Screams, Scream 2, what was Sydney aspiring to be? An actress, just like Maureen. So there's these elements in there where Sydney, there's these elements in there where Sydney kind of does mirror her mother. So what if, now that she has kids and all that stuff or whatnot, what if Sydney basically does the same thing that Maureen did, and that right there could be the indiscretion as to why a Ghostface killer outside of Stu is coming after her. Like, it would be, bro, it would be anticlimactic, because think about this. What was Sydney's main fear in Scream 1 when she was talking to Billy? She was afraid she was going to turn out just like her mom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And they could play on that a little bit too, because
that's what I'm saying.
She could have like a little bit of an affair, or starting an affair, maybe not fully going committed to it, and maybe the older daughter notices it and questions her mom, and then you kind of feel sympathetic to her husband Mark because he seems innocent. But what if he's the killer? I knew about your affair all along.
Bro, I mean, let's really think about, I mean, that's not hard to imagine, because it would be playing into the idea that Stu and Billy were going to frame Neil for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They were basically, I mean, they framed Cotton Weary for Maureen's death, but for the new murders, they were going to frame Neil. You know what I mean? So that would be kind of like reverse, kind of reverse psychology in a way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, bro, I'll be honest though, I don't think Mark is going to last long in this film. I agree. You said this a couple weeks ago, and I agree with you. The more we're getting slowly closer, unless we get more details about his role, I actually think he could be just like Toby Hess's character was in Halloween 2018.
That's the vibe I get to. I think that he's going to be there. He's going to be goofy. He's going to be.
He's going to talk about how he's got peanut butter on his penis, and then eventually he's going to get killed.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I feel, and I'm kind of hoping that's not the case, because I want to see Joel McHale, kind of more serious, and I want to see him have a shine in this movie. I want him, if he's going to die, I want us to feel it, even though he's a new character that we're just seeing, because he is Sydney's husband. I want him to be a likable character that has purpose. I don't want him to be like a Toby Hess character, because to me, that was one of the things I didn't like about Halloween 2018 is how they did his character, because I liked his character. You know what I mean? So I hope they don't do that with Mark's character in Scream 7, but
they
will.
They could, to really kick off Sydney's psyche and mess her up a lot. Maybe there's a call like maybe there's a younger girl getting attacked, getting a phone call from getting, you know, movie trivia and stuff, and having the whole Casey Becker thing going on, and then she actually gets to call the police, and they're en route. And isn't her husband supposed to play like a cop in the town of Indiana?
I heard something like that. Yeah,
yeah,
that's the rumor.
What if he's the first on the scene, and his backup's not going to arrive for a minute, but he's got to go in here, and he goes, but he gets killed by, you know, he gets killed that way, like in the line of duty, trying to save somebody out. Maybe he does save the girl, and or whatever. Maybe it was, or dude, ooh, they could do.
It's an obvious trap by Ghostface. Maybe
it's an obvious trap by Ghostface, and the girl wasn't the target. He was, or the girl is in on it,
right?
And she's like the survivor, and then her and Sydney have a moment, and it's like, he saved my life, blah 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 blah, but she's really the killer.
Or if the call he gets, you know, we hear a female voice, but it's the Ghostface voice changer from Scream 3.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Dude, I hope they bring back that voice changer, man.
They have to. It makes all the sense in the world, because
I think if they do bring
time.
it, I think if they do bring it back, have it like an updated version. You know, like a more up-to-date version. I think that would be kind of cool.
Oh, hell yeah.
And introduce it in the first kill, you know, like toy with the victim at the beginning, and you make it think it's somebody, but it's not. And then, you know, Ghostface holds it up to his mouth like he did before he killed Cotton Weary. Dude, hell yeah. I just wonder how much, like, Kevin Williamson is willing to take away from Scream 3, just given the fact that they threw away his script and did something else. You know what I mean? Like, he might be like, nah, I'm not playing with any of their toys. F all that. I'm going to do my own thing. And maybe he does his own version of it, you know?
I think it will be a little bit of both. I think that he will take some things away from Scream 3 that wasn't obviously his, because, I mean, they're doing something with Roman and Stu.
Yeah.
You know, so unless you're going to, and I say Roman and Stu because so far there has been no thing said about Roman, Stu, and Billy. So what would be the obvious direction to take in regards to these two characters? Well, Roman is the one who basically helped Stu escape in 96, helped him fake his death, and Stu was his real silent partner in Scream 3.
Yeah, dude. That like that was one of my theories, was that he was there all along. You could still utilize, like in Scream 2, that he was in the background at that party, because, you know, he was there, but they could actually kind of like play with that a little bit, being like, I was there at Woodsboro. I mean, I was there at what's the college?
Windsor
College. I can't believe I forgot that. And then he was there in Hollywood. Like, maybe Angelina was one of the killers, but like the one that stabbed Angelina and drug her off, like maybe they could cut back to that and say, like there's only room for two Ghostfaces, and he kills Angelina, and he got away when Roman got killed. He just never got revealed. And then maybe he's there in 4 in some way, you know, maybe he was always there, and maybe him and Jill, maybe he's the one that encouraged and influenced Jill, you know? And so, yeah, I think it's great. And I think that, like, maybe Amber had something to do with it, you know, like maybe Amber had something involved with Stu. So yeah, I think that's a great idea, man. I think it would be good to kind of like make it seem like Stu was there all along. He was the puppet master. He was the one. He just was waiting for that right moment or whatever, you know, like, I don't know.
Right.
Do you think Stu, I've always thought about this. Do you think Stu killed his parents or would kill his parents?
Bro, It's so crazy that you said that because I've been literally thinking about doing a fucking theory video talking about that. Because it's like it's not impossible to think. Like, we don't know we've never met his parents, you know, and it doesn't seem like we are going to get any mention. All we keep hearing about is his sister, Leslie Mocker.
Yeah.
So why aren't we hearing about the parents?
Mm-hmm.
It's very possible he killed his parents.
Or him and his sister did.
Yeah. It's very, very possible. You know what I mean?
They're hanging in the attic.
Bro, I mean, that's my thing. Like, when you look at the attic and the hanging dolls and all that stuff, that is a clear sign that somebody's not right up there.
Right.
So it would not be impossible to think that maybe the parents started to see some of this in Stu, and Stu eliminated the opposition.
Yeah.
he's a maniac. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Because if he went into like a if the whole family went into like a witness protection program, or was trying to have something controlled, like I could see like maybe his dad's like drilling him, being like, "You're not leaving this house. You're not gonna do this. You're not gonna blah," and like Stu just one day snaps and kills his parents, and maybe the sister helped too, or maybe they don't even show it. Maybe they just talk about it, like, yeah, me and my sister, we had to take out our parents because they were trying to, you know, whatever. I don't know. They were getting too mad at us.
Man, but see, I feel like now I think about it, the only thing that kind of hurts it is, you know, Stu saying my mom and dad are going to be so mad at me.
Yeah.
So that kind of does say that, you know, they were alive. Now the question is could he have ended up killing them along, you know, after, you know, he faked his death? I don't know. I do think it's fascinating. Who sold the Mocker house to the Freemans? Was it the Mockers who still sold it to them, or was it another family who bought it off the Mockers after the events of Scream 6? I mean, after the events of the original film. So
you think? Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead, buddy.
No, so you think that like Vince was Leslie Mocker's son?
I'm glad you asked that question, because the more I think about it, the more I don't think he was. And the reason why I say that is because when he is mentioned as, you know, Leslie's son and related to Stu, we didn't get any reaction from Dewey.
Yeah.
None whatsoever. And now, of course, they deleted it out of Scream 2022. Dewey and Vince were supposed to have an interaction in the bar.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
So I feel like that was cut out for a reason. Because if they would have kept that scene, then that means Dewey, for a fact, knows that Stu's family, if not Stu's family is still around in Woodsboro.
Yeah.
So I think that I think that could have been an offhanded comment by Amber. Honestly, we didn't see that proof.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Vince's last name was Schneider, which could obviously be in his dad's last name, whatnot, and stuff like that. But if you wanted to write it out as if Vince really wasn't Stu's, you know, nephew, you can do that because of that whole last name. And we never seen Leslie with him or anything like that. It just, especially when you think of how offhanded of a kill that was. Like, if somebody killed, if that's his nephew who was killed, I feel like there would have been more like meaning to, like, why didn't Leslie come after the sisters?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know, man. I'm kind of a little bit more like 70-30% that Vince could turn out to be not Stu's nephew. That just could have been
They should have let him live a little bit longer, you know.
Right. Like, they gave nothing about that character. Like, if this is Stu Mocker's real nephew, there has to be some fucking depth to this character, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Instead, you just introduce him as a offhanded way to mention Leslie Mocker and Stu, but then we don't get anything else from that.
Yeah.
And Dewey is just like, there's nothing there.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like, especially being that Dewey lived in Woodsboro, he would know who Vince was if that was Stu's nephew.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah.
I don't know, man.
And being like law enforcement too, he would have known.
Yeah.
Everything. So yeah. T. Parker Evans says, "Keep making Scream movies till the world ends. You can always focus on new characters, but just don't repeat the same stories like 5 and 6." Yeah, I agree. We don't want. Let's don't mimic the past. Let's do some unique and fresh stuff. Craven says, "I want Stu back with a vengeance, more brutal than we've ever seen in the franchise." Me too. I want to see him just go crazy and ripping people apart. Like, I think that's going to be awesome. Val, the General, what's up, Val? Says, "Yeah, Marcus, anyone can be Ghostface, but Sydney's story needs to end, and is the fandom ready for that?" It all depends. I'd say if like Scream 8, man, if it's a banger, which I think it will be, if there's still room to bring Sydney back, I think they will, in a way, at least as like a mentorship, or something. Kind of like how she was with Sam in 5, but be with her daughter instead. I think something like that. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I think so let's say, let me read that. Sydney needs to yes. To answer your question, Val, about is the fandom ready for that? I think that is actually a resounding yes. When you think about the negative feedback that Scream 7 got for dropping Melissa and Jenna not returning, is because those newer fans of the fandom were okay with following these newer characters. Mm-hmm. Even some of us old heads were okay with following these newer characters. We accepted the fact that Sydney wasn't going to be in Scream 6. Mm-hmm. We accepted that, and we moved on for what it was. We held out hope that in the next one she would be in it, which obviously she is, and they're going in an entirely new direction. But I do think that the Scream fandom, at least a good portion of it, especially the younger generation, is ready to move on from Sydney because they don't know Sydney. Yeah. You know what I mean? Even if they did go back and watch the previous films, I'm sure they like them, but they do want to see something new because this is their generation. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I do think a good percentage of the fandom is ready to move on, and it was evident by very unfortunate, comments and, threats and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's unfortunate that it got to that point, but I do think that is a telling sign that a good portion of fans are ready for Scream to move in a different direction outside of Sidney Prescott. And we know it. At some point, it's got to happen. Right. You know what I mean? At some point, it does have to happen. But if there was one thing that we always said, even when we had the Carpenter sisters storyline or whatnot, even if you blended it in with Sydney, we always had to have that one last Sydney story between her and Stu. Mm-hmm. It had to be that. If we're going to end Sydney's story arc completely, we have to get Stu Macher alive, and they get that showdown one last time and cap this off correctly. And it seems that's what we're getting. Now, in regards to a possible Scream 9, I think that Scream 9, if they are going to do it, that is when we will slowly start to fade off of Sydney's character. Mm-hmm. And that's when she will slowly fade into the background. We know she's never going to die. Nev's never going to allow it. Mm-hmm. So I think if there is going to be a time where we're going to stop focusing on Sydney as the main character, Scream 9 will be the start of that, and then we'll see what happens from there. Right.
What about you, Dom? You ready for Sydney's story to end, or what? You think we're ready for that? Are you ready for that? He fell asleep, didn't
he? Dom, you there, buddy? You better be eating some chicken tenders.
Some chicken tenders.
He might.
Yeah!
I would say he probably it probably froze up on him.
Oh yeah, or his phone died or something. He was just like, man, I'm still on live. He probably just clicked off. We probably woke him up. And he was like, I'm on live.
Love you, Dom Dom. Oh man, but
Dom.
but yeah, again, I do think you know, as happy as we are that Sydney's back and we are getting this story, us fans are ready for something new. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we want this franchise to keep going forward. You know, so let's do the Sydney stuff. Hopefully it's great. We get it out the way, and then let's see what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. Holy shit, that fucked me up. I didn't even see him pop back up. What boy's literally like a
I told you. He's like, and now you see me, now you don't.
Yeah.
No, I just so yeah, my thoughts on the whole should Sydney's story end? Yes, I think it should. And I think it definitely needs to end with her and Stu. And it should end like that. And it should be in Wardsboro in the Stu Marker house, you know, for the final act of that story. And that's my thoughts on that. Yeah. I think it should end, and then we should move on to newer characters.
You know what would be really messed up? And that would be crazy.
What?
Is okay, we all keep thinking Stu. But what if, like, you know, when the killer's revealed, it's her dad, and he was actually working with Billy and Stu because he was so vengeful towards his own wife. And he was part of
it. Bro.
And that whole him being in the closet and doing all that was all theatrical. It was all just a show.
And bro. Oh, hold on, my the gears are grinding now. So what if that were to transpire, right? So what is his motive? Well, the motive is, Sydney, you turned out just like your mother. I know about that affair. I know about, or you basically are attempting to have an affair. And that's what broke Neil. That's what broke Neil, because no matter how hard he tried to protect his daughter from turning out like that, he couldn't.
Right.
So now, in order to end this entire legacy of Ghostface or whatnot, he has to take out his own daughter now because she turned out just like Marie.
Yeah. Yep.
That would be fucking nuts, bro. Like, no, man, that would be crazy. I would put it this way. I mean,
it'd be more intense than her brother.
Yeah, I mean, because I like Robin, but there was definitely moments in that dialogue between them where she bitched him. She did.
Yeah.
You know, and so especially in that moment where he's like, "Stop! I don't want to hear it." Damn, and he starts freaking out and stuff like that. So, yeah, man. The only thing is I hope Neil will be in good health and good shape, because my boy's got to be up there by now, bro. Like, how would you think Neil would be? This is 30 years later, so what?
Look, he's rolling. Look, he's got 2 killers, and he rolls out. They're like, surprise cameo just for you, Sid. The 2 killers. It's her dad coming out in like a little electrical...
I'm going to say a hum around. Dude, let's go.
He's like got like a little oxygen mask, like, you're just like her. And he just he tells the 2 killers, he's like, get her. Like, they just go running after her.
Oh my goodness. Oh man, that shit would be nuts. Yo, I swear. But see, it's funny as hell, but that's one thing we don't want, bro.
No, I know.
Because that right there, I'm not going to lie, I probably had the whole damn theater looking at me like I got a problem because I'm laughing my fucking ass off.
That'd be funny.
Oh man.
And be a scene like she's running down a hallway and he's just like chasing her on the fucking thing.
My boy comes out and he goes to take off the mask and he's like, "You think darkness is your ally?"
Dude,
Like,
that's a cool
fucking-
concept, man. A killer that's in a wheelchair, electrical wheelchair.
Hey, it would.
That could be a movie.
It would explain how they can get around faster. Like shit.
Mhm. And never be suspected.
They
Like,
should
I
do
can't-
that for Scary Movie.
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude. That'd be funny. And he's still in the same damn blue jean jacket. Be like, Daddy, you don't ever change.
Yeah, yo, yeah. Oh, yo,
Yeah.
that's crazy. But that's out, bro. When you think about, what you said about Neil being a killer, and you mesh that in with Sydney, kind of turning out like Marine, bro. That would also be a shock but anticlimactic ending to her story.
Or like it doesn't
Right.
even have to be. What if it's kind of like, it's like an ending within an ending. You got
Right.
the two killers, but then she discovers that her dad is a killer, and she goes to his house, and through conversation she realizes he was a killer, and it's like a very deep conversation, and then like I don't think they would like be punching each other and stabbing each other, but she has to kill him, and she just like pulls out a gun and shoots him in the head.
I mean, it's not impossible, bro. I mean, think about that scene in Scream 1996 after her and Billy do the do. Remember when, she was asking him about the phone call and Billy leans in and he says, "What do I have to do to prove to you I'm not a killer?" And she has this moment, this epiphany where she looks at him and she realizes he looks like Cotton fucking Weary.
Yeah.
So, bro, that's not impossible to think that, in terms of like having a deep conversation with her dad, maybe Neil slips up in some type of regard. And in that moment, she realizes, oh my God, he really did have something to do with the original murders.
Mm-hmm.
Or he does have something to do with these new murders and stuff. And he knew about, my indiscretion and stuff like that. Like there's definitely something that can be done with that. You know what I mean? Now, I want to ask you this, Destin, and then also you, Dom. What about, obviously, it seems like this is going to be more of a mocker storyline. What about Hank Loomis, man? Like,
yeah.
I get it. Some people will say, "Oh, well, the Carpenter sisters aren't around no more, so that really wouldn't make sense." But that's not really true. You know what I mean? Like, especially like, bro, I've always wanted them to explain more on this. If this whole idea is true about Hank Loomis basically knowing Marine back in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Because then that opens up so many doors for questioning. Because then you could sit there, if that is true, if that little nugget was true or whatever, what if Hank was Roman's dad? You know what I mean? Like, if they had, and he followed Marine to Woodsboro, and they both left Roman behind. You know what I mean? Like, if they had a relationship, because think about this, the thing is that Hank Loomis was Milton's lead lawyer for Sunrise Studios. So that means he would have interaction with Marine Prescott, with the contracts, everything. So I've always wanted them to explore that avenue, man. Like, because I think there's something there. Because, hey, we don't have a definitive answer as to who Roman's dad is.
Yeah, we really don't, because a lot of people, theorize that Milton was. So he killed his daddy. That would be something that I think that should be explored in a prequel if they ever do the Marine Prescott story.
Right.
like a series or like a prequel movie or something like that. Yeah, that's interesting, dude. That's really interesting. Like
It is, man.
like because you don't know, man. All I know is that people in the Scream movies be fucking.
Huh?
Like that's all I.
Shit.
We don't see.
Yeah.
We don't see too much of it, but we hear a lot about it.
Right.
There's a bunch of there's some drama going on down in Woodsboro.
Yeah, you ain't lying about that, man. And
Part of my French.
They made that. They even expanded on that in so many ways with Samantha's character in the last two films. You know what I mean? Like even Richie, teased her about it.
Yeah. A troll says Stu's son is Tatum's boyfriend. Plot twist. Ooh, that's interesting.
Ooh.
If he's a mocker.
What if? I mean, especially if we believe that Stu has been lurking in the dark all these years in so many words, what if instead of Anna Camp being Leslie Mocker, what if that's Stu's wife? And what if Asa Germain is Stu's son?
Wow. And so it's another family of killers?
Something like that, but he put his wife and his son up to carrying on the Mocker legacy, and unfortunately they're going to be expendable in his grand scheme of things.
You think we're going to get that whole like Sydney's daughter and her friends at high school and hanging out at high school and getting an homage of the water fountain again and all that kind of stuff? You think we're going to do? I feel like they've done it like a few times now. It's like I don't really want to see that same thing happening. Like
right.
It's like all right, we've done this. We keep doing this. Let's do. Scream 4 did it. Scream 5 did it. So I kind of just want something a little different. When it comes to the young kids.
Yeah, I don't think they are. What I will say is I think they are going to, like, basically the new like water fountain scene and all that stuff will be this theater that they're in doing this play and something like that. And it is worth noting, and again, feeding into the whole, you're just like your mother type of aspect. Tatum is said to be a part of this play and is an aspiring actress in so many words.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Sydney, just like Maureen. So there's a theme running here. You know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that. I think in regards to the friends and the main locations that we see them hanging out and being present is probably going to be in that theater for the most part.
Yeah, that'd be making sense. Like maybe she goes to like rehearsal or something, and then that's where we're getting introduced to all the characters and her little friend group.
Right?
They're all like aspiring actors and stuff. Let's see here. Kevin Williamson is also pretty good too. He helped start I Know What You Did Last Summer, and he did the first 3 Scream movies. Yeah, dude. That's why I think that we will get the first piece of marketing around I Know What You Did Last Summer. I think that's a really smart move. Not just for just to say. I just think that like when you think about the early .90s slashers and that era, you think a Scream. What's the second one you say? I Know What You Did Last Summer. Like those are the two that really kicked it off. And Scream did, but then I Know What You Did Last Summer, and it was successful. So then you had others like Urban Legend. You had a bunch of like knockoff ones too. So yeah, Kevin Williamson was also with The Faculty, and they're bringing that back. That's one of my favorite films. Like still to this day, that's one of those movies I could watch over and over. Another movie that's like great with characters. What Wes and Carpenter should have did a Freddy versus Michael or team up to do a Halloween. You know how much money that would have made if Wes Craven and John Carpenter joined forces and made a Freddy and a Halloween movie like that, and you put Wes Craven and John Carpenter on that, marketing it, and they're both. I don't see them both directing it, but they're both producing it and having very hands-on with it. Like Freddy versus Jason was great, but Freddy versus Michael, like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I think just the names alone, just, you know, Craven and Carpenter. That's what they would do. Craven and Carpenter. So, you don't really like it?
It's not that I don't like the idea. I just don't see the connection. You know, and I really didn't see that connection with Jason and Freddy either, other than the whole hell aspect and the fact that they were both signed to New Line.
Mm-hmm.
I've said this to you before, and eventually I'm going to do a video about it detailing why I believe you could do this. What if we're talking about director collaborations, like dream matchups, Wes Craven and Damien Leone? Because in so many ways, Art the Clown is literally the new age version of fucking Freddy Krueger. He just doesn't speak.
Yeah.
You know, but there's other aspects in regards to him having, you know, demonic powers. He's from hell. You know what I mean? He can do things over the phone that Freddy can do. And stuff like, without speaking, he is hilarious. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of similarities between those two horror icons. And yes, I'm saying Art is a horror icon now because, in my opinion, of the new age slashers, he's the king right now. Like, of the new generation slashers. So I think that that would be a hell of a mashup, you know, especially with, you know, Damien's visualistic art. You know, what he did with those, you know, supernatural sequences and Terrifier, and then you add that with the brainchild of Wes and his ability to mix all these genres together and not only make a imposing, scary killer, but a killer that you can like and have fun with. I think they both share those same similarities with these characters, and that would be my dream matchup, especially for Freddy, because it just makes sense that it's a perfect fit. They're both from hell. They have a lot of similarities, and just the interactions between those two, I can only imagine. Like Freddy saying some slick shit to Art, and Art's just like, or something like, or doing whatever he does, or like, whatever, just fucking with Freddy. You know what I mean? Without saying a word. Like, I think that would be so much fun to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely would, man. So like I'm developing early stages. I'm developing my own slasher movie, you know, along with my vampire film. But like I already know, I don't know how I'm really gonna do it, but my opening kill is to kill a killer clown. Beheading. I'm sending a message to Art the Clown. The opening kill is like a killer clown kills somebody, and then my killer steps in and kills him by beheading him. And that's like the opening. And I'm not gonna, like, you know, it's not gonna look, you know, it's gonna, I'm gonna be respectful, but I think that'll stir the pot in the horror community and like poke the bear a little bit with Art the Clown.
So basically, you're laying down a challenge.
I'm laying down I'm challenging somebody. Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
I think that'll get some people talking. But yeah, what do you think about this? You like the horror team up, Freddy versus Michael, or you say nah?
Oh, I think it would be better if it's Freddy versus Jason versus Michael. Because
all three of them, yeah.
Yeah, it's because so it can be like a sequel or something, like where to Freddy versus Jason, where like Freddy is trying to not only get Jason back under his wing, but also to bring in Michael, because he feels that Michael is more along the lines of a companion to him, because Michael's not Jason. He's not really the only similarities they have, they're both silent killers, but Michael is a mystery. He's very intelligent, and he knows what he's doing, and he picks people he wants to kill, and he goes in and all that stuff, and he's evil. He's pure evil, right? So Freddy looks like that, and he's like, you know what? I want to work with this guy even more, because this guy right here, he would actually listen to me, or I can like work with him and sort of communicate with him, and he'll understand what I'm saying. Whereas Jason is in his own world. Jason is in his own world, and he does what Jason wants to do, you know? So I can see like a combination of the three slashers coming together, and how they all fight each other. I don't know how that's going to come about, but that's how I think Freddy would like meet Michael, is probably because they're kind of close to each other, you know, Illinois, Ohio. So
aren't they in the same neighborhood? The houses, or is that no?
I mean, shooting location wise, yeah, like Pasadena, Hollywood, like they were shot in the same like areas and cities, but like not like actual like story wise, they're not in the same state.
I thought there was a house that was down the street. Like I thought I've seen some documentaries where it might not be the Nightmare house, but I thought there was like another house on that street that was from another horror film. Chat, let me know if I might be mistaken about.
Yeah, I'm about to say I don't remember any of that.
Yeah.
But I could have sworn there's something, because like I've seen people like, here's the Myers house, and right down the street. I mean, it could have been like, I don't know, from a completely different horror movie, but I don't know. I guess I kind of just like picked them two together. I've always been like, oh yeah, they're kind of close. I don't know. They look like the same neighborhood a little bit. I could be way off. Plus, it's really late.
Look into that. That got me intrigued.
Yeah, because I was like, if they are doing something like that, they could be like, some kids a family lives in the Myers house, a family lives in Freddy's house, and now we got worlds colliding. You got this group of people and these group of people dealing with two different things, bringing Freddy into the real world with Michael Myers on Halloween night. That'd be cool. I don't know.
Or maybe that the two people that are the families that are living in those houses are related to each other, and they find out that they could bring both of them together to fight, so they can take him out.
Yeah. Fight in the streets, old gang fight. Yeah. Yeah. Good night, Craven. Have a good night. I know I'm kind of behind on the chat. I mean, I've gotten really behind. I'm sorry if I skip over your comment. I'm trying to catch up a little bit. We are going to be wrapping this up pretty soon. We've been on here for 3 hours. I don't know about y'all, but I'm kind of tired, but I'm also like still okay. This has been a lot of fun. We got Jamie in the house. Nice to see you, Jamie. Good to see you.
Jamie.
What's up, Jamie?
Hell yeah. Yeah. Have a good night, Matthew. It's been a good talk. Awesome. Let's see here. I got to set up some more streams for the week, and then we got some stuff on your stuff too, right, Marcus?
Yes, sir.
What do you got going on, man? Tell the people.
Monday we're going to be watching Misery. As I said before, I have my Hurry Up Tomorrow. I'm going to have 2 Hurry Up Tomorrow videos released tomorrow. So in preparation for that film coming out next week, we're going to be watching Misery on Monday. I'm going to squeeze in It Sleeps at Night on Sunday, because the director for Hurry Up Tomorrow was the director for that film. And from what I heard, that's like an underrated gem that doesn't get enough credit. So, and plus, that would be a good way to see what type of especially from a visualistic standpoint, because I think in Hurry Up Tomorrow we're going to be seeing a lot of visualistic horror type of things playing out. So it's going to be interesting to see what he did with that film and how it could translate to Hurry Up Tomorrow. And then Tuesday, I'm going to be planning to do The Shining. And then Wednesday, I would like to do Disturbing Behavior. Because all those movies, outside of It Sleeps at Night, because I just want to see what type of director Trey Edward Schultz is, The Shining, Disturbing Behavior, and Misery, from what I've seen in the trailer and what I know about this movie, those movies are going to be pretty influenced in this upcoming movie. There's also going to be other inspirations for Hurry Up Tomorrow, like Possession, that you guys can go check out and all that stuff. But for me, based on what I'm, doing in my research for this movie, Misery, Shining, and Disturbing Behavior jumps out to me in regards to seeing how this movie could pinch off of those movies.
Yeah. I'm really interested in seeing it too. So yeah, man. That's awesome, man. I hopefully I get an invite. I can be a part of all that.
Bro, you already know what time it is.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Dom, what you got going on in your world?
I got some more reviews coming out. I just did a Ghost Rider review with the Nicolas Cage, good old Nicolas Cage.
Oh, thank you, Jake.
And we got another review. I got another review coming out, and they're going to be on the shorts section of my channel. So check out the shorts section, or if you see a notification, it'll pop up, and it'll be on the shorts section of my channel. And I'm going to be doing a review of one of either a Godzilla movie or another horror film, possibly a creature feature of some sort that either I haven't seen or I have seen, but I'm going to do a review on it. So definitely creature week coming up on my channel for reviews.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I love some good creature features. I'm hoping that Anaconda is going to be good, the new one that's coming out. I'm hoping that they're going to bring it back. I love like a decent, like I want practical effects and special effects, but like I like a good creepy creature feature. Val says, is the movie you're talking about Destin, Run, Hide, Fight? That's it. With Isabel May. Go check that movie out. Very, very good movie. Very good movie. Thomas Jane is her dad. He's outside the school. He's like a sniper, I think. And the police won't let him in the school, even though his daughter's in there with a bunch of school shooters. And she's hiding, and she's taking these guys out one by one, kind of like a Die Hard.
Nice.
It's good, man. It's
good.
I
might check that out. That does sound badass.
I think Isabel May isn't a teenager. I think she's like well into her 20s, if I'm not mistaken. If not, she acts very mature for her age. Patricia says Scream 7 is 100% going to be a cliffhanger. I think so too. I think we're going to finally get one. Talking Star Wars says Stu's parents also missed his birthday. It's on the calendar in the kitchen in Scream 1. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why they died. Sorry, yeah, I get it. I got really behind tonight. We had a good turnout tonight. We had thank you for the support. Thank you for all the likes. Please smash that like button. It helps out the video. I've seen some familiar faces, but also some faces I haven't seen in quite some time, and some new ones. So yeah, it's been great. Val says maybe Rowan also went to Neil after Marine rejected him. That would be a double stab to Neil's heart. Finds out his wife has a bastard child and she cheated on him.
I mean, it's not impossible. He did show up at the house.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's not impossible. Marine goes to answer the door. Maybe Neil's in the background somewhere, you know what I mean? And he's kind of like, oh, who's this young man? And, maybe sees him around. I mean, Roman said he followed Marine and he watched her, took videos of her. What if Neil was the one who put him up to it?
Possibly. He's probably like, yeah, go ahead, do it. I'm done with her.
You know what I mean? Like, not
Yeah.
even that. Not even just that. Maybe Neil had suspicions of Marine's infidelities because of the rumors going around town.
Yeah.
And he used Roman as that tool to find out the truth for him.
Yeah.
It's not impossible, man. Like, that would be so crazy. That would be a hell of a swerve. That would be something nobody would see coming. Neil Prescott, like, having a hand in Roman following Marine and possibly ending up being a killer. That would be nuts. You know what I mean?
His daddy is really the killer.
Like, wow. That would be crazy.
Yeah. Cody said, how would you feel if they didn't have an opening kill in Scream 7? I would feel cheated. I would feel a little. I almost felt a little cheated with Scream 5, even though I wanted Jenna Ortega to live. I feel like Jenna Ortega should have had a friend with her, like somebody that died. Like there'd be two people in the house, like a boyfriend, a girlfriend, whatever. And that person gets killed, and Jenna Ortega gets attacked, but she lives. I feel like we still needed like a death. What?
Trudy.
Yeah.
Scream 4.
Oh yeah. I did not like the opening. Hell yeah. Yeah. Good night, Cody. Thank you for everybody showing up tonight. We are going to be closing this up. Thank y'all also for being here. I'll touch base with y'all backstage. This has been great. 3 hours went by like butter. It was easy. And here's to another stream down, and we're gonna have Scream Talk. I guess I should change it to Scream 7 and 8 Talk. Now that they're both in the talks. So I don't know. I'll figure it out for next Friday night, 9 p.m. Central. Hope to see everybody back. Hope everybody had a good time. Maybe we can get some more guests on and get a bigger conversation going. Even though that's kind of like what slows it down a little bit with the chat, is that we're all talking and it takes time. And by that time, the chat's just blowing up. So yeah. But anyways, thank everybody. Thank you everybody for your continued support. I love y'all. Here's to the next one. Gonna do a couple more and then we're gonna call it. Yeah, Flet. Yeah. Next one, next Friday. I got you, man. I'll send you an invite and we'll talk about it, dude. Absolutely. Val, maybe Neil has been the one hiding Stu. Oh, wow. Damn, we're gonna end it on this. Like, everyone's speechless.
I mean, let's really be honest. Neil's got the money and the means to pull something like that off. I mean, wow, that would be fucking crazy.
What if she goes back to Daddy's house for protection and support, and then come to find out he's a killer, and then Stu walks out and like surprised, didn't he? And it's like both of them too. Damn.
Because basically, especially if we're playing into the idea of Roman and fucking Neil having an interaction, it's not impossible to think that after Roman went to meet Billy and confronted him with, what he knew, that basically Neil also approached Billy and was like, "Killer, I'll pay you," or something like that, and stuff, and Stu as well. Like, it's not impossible to think, man.
Yeah, for sure. Val says, so happy you guys are back. Absolutely, we are back. We are back in full force. And thank y'all, everybody. We are going to be ending the stream. Y'all have a good night. And here's to the next Scream Talk and all the other stuff we have in the works. So hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and we'll see you guys when we see you guys. We'll be back. We'll be right back. I can't talk. Peace.
Have a good